They right here in front. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We live.
What up with it, though? What up? What up? What up?
We back in the building.
It's another week. It's another week of boxing. And
That's
shout out
it.
to Two Tone the Superstar, because this week's boxing is musty.
It's mustard.
It's musty out here, bro. It is definitely musty, man. It's boy, the politics of boxing, the business of boxing,
It's,
intertwining with the legacy of boxing. The money and the legacy don't always fall on the same page, huh, Blue?
nope. It very rarely does. And that's the problem. That's the problem that we have, man. Because it very rarely falls in line with one another. And that's the fight that we always having because fans have a hard time separating the two because these are very sharp businessmen,
Right.
and they know how to mislead people that are not in the business
Mm,
and are just emotionally driven, and that's exactly what they do.
money driven.
It's their money. You know what it is, right? It's trying to understand Wall Street as a fan of New York.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't know. You don't know. They'll run circles around you. And that's why people like myself and people like yourself, that are into the sport of boxing, and we can take time out to be able to take a step back and say, hold on, this don't sound right, that don't sound right, something ain't right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Most fans, they can't do that. They can't do it. They're emotionally driven, they're emotionally attached. They can't take a step back and say, hey, something ain't right here.
Right.
This don't look correct. You know what I'm saying? They can't do it. And because of that, guess what? The egg is always on the fan's face. And the
Yeah.
fighters, in this case, the fighters. You know what I'm saying? Hence the reason why Floyd Mayweather said what he said, which is, you know, um,
What's goody, D boy Dev? What's goody? What's goody, man? Interesting week we had. Interesting weekend. Interesting turn of events. You know what I mean? You back, Blue?
yeah, I'm
Oh,
back.
he's on the phone. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead, Blue.
yeah, no. So that's the whole thing is that the fans they can't separate the two, and so what they do is these boxing promoters they continue to flash the business of the sport of boxing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
oh, gracias. Yeah, thank you, appreciate it. So the business of the sport of boxing it gets the waters get muddy, but they understand. So Floyd Mayweather, I was saying that Floyd Mayweather had said this. Remember, Floyd said, "Listen, I'm no longer going to follow suit. I'm going to change the game for the fighters so that the fighters can get the money that they deserve."
Right.
And on top of that, remember, here's another thing. Remember this. Bob Arum said this. That famous quote Bob Arum had. He
Right.
said, "Fans are like they're like rocks. You can kick them in any direction, and they'll stay right there.
Right.
You fans are not because they're emotionally driven, and so this is why they can play these games as a business. You know what I mean? Hence the reason why me and you was talking about this just a few ago. The thing is, like I was saying, is that you know the game was being played against Jaron Ennis. You know what I'm saying? Not for him, against him.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what Jaron Boots Ennis was and his team needed to identify was that, like you said, they playing a very very they playing chess with his career and he's playing checkers because he's innocent, right?
Right.
And when I say innocent, is like it's like a little kid that's innocent. Hey, I just want to go play. You know what I'm saying? As the adult, you like, hey, go play in this part because there's women there that I want to see, but I'm gonna pretend that I'm just taking you to the park. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm gonna take you to park. I want to take you in so that I can get something out the deal.
Period. I'm here with purpose, and I
Right.
think that that's something that has to be acknowledged and understood, because in many ways there are no bad guys in the situation, right? There's only guys who are there to do what they're there to do. Their presence reflects something. Eddie Hearn is there to do business, and he's there to make money, and he's there to profit off of boxing. Boots is there to achieve his ambitions and his goals and his legacy, but at the same time, there's a prize fighting part of this game that can never be ignored. It can't be ignored. You want to put it to the side and say, we'll get that later, but there's chapters in your career. And for Boots Ennis, with the talent he brings to the table, the prize fighting part gets in the way of his legacy, because he's a risk to anybody he gets in the ring with. And they're not just going to jump in the ring with you. So you got to get the politics and the business down to a science, because of the pedigree you bring to the table. When the negotiations begin, the chances of a person winning against you is not very high. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
they have to make it worth it for themselves. So it's interesting to watch it pan out. And I said it earlier when I first, not earlier today, like really since on damn near last year, I was like, it looks like Boots is going to make this move to 154, because the amount of money they're going to have to spend in order for him to get to achieve the goals he wants to achieve, is it going to be profitable? Is he a
Right.
pay-per-view star? He wasn't marketed and developed right, in my opinion, to get him to this point. He didn't get built up to be like, you know what, we're going to get the money back on pay-per-view. It's kind of like with Tank. In so many ways, when you look back at the way Tank was developed, he was just done the right way. You know what I mean? They developed him as a big star in the game, so that when he comes to making his big fights, he can make any fight he wants to, because he's gonna sell pay-per-view, he's gonna pack out the building, he's gonna move the units. Boots, the talent was there, but his popularity, his market value wasn't addressed correctly. You got to feel bad for him to a certain degree, but at the same time, you need the team to kind of step up into the business of boxing and get educated and be present for that part of the class as well, because in this situation, it just looks bad for him.
Mm-hmm. Tyrese Johnson says, Blue, explain how they bid $350K for Genovic and you want 2.2 for Brian Norman, bro. You be wild and Blue. You want to play both sides. You like Norman and Boots.
That's
Then
an
he says,
interesting.
Blue don't have a response for me. I know. First and foremost, the great brother Clay was talking, so why would I respond in the middle of that? That's number one. Number two, what does Genovic have to do with this situation?
Right. Genovic didn't even make weight.
He
He's in the
didn't
hospital.
even make weight. Not only that, it's man. Callie World, peace and blessings, Queen.
What does that
Um,
mean, though? What he's saying, though? What is he referencing? I don't understand. What does he mean? What is he trying to say? Like,
he's saying for a purse bid, they bid 350K. He says Genovic is a champion who is more well known than Brian Norman Jr. Who bid 350K?
yeah, about what?
Make what make sense?
Are we still talking about Boots and Brian Norman? I don't understand.
Now, he's talking about Genovic's situation. So he said the
Top
top
rank.
rank. Boots ain't with top rank. And Brian Norman wasn't in the purse bid.
Right.
So please explain to me what you're talking about.
That's
Brian
interesting.
Norman wasn't in a purse bid against a mandatory, and top rank wasn't in a bidding situation. And Brian Norman wasn't fighting Genovic. So what are we talking about here? And every fight is different. For instance, Top Rank didn't want to bid more than $2 million for Teofimo Lopez to fight George Kambosos.
Yeah, I don't
He
know.
said, I know, I'm just saying you guys are trying to overpay Brian Norman instead of calling it duck. What are you talking about? See, this is what happens when first of all, how about this, Tyrese Johnson, since you said I was ducking. Now, how about we send you the link and you click on this link and tell us how I'm ducking? Because what you're saying makes zero sense. These are boxing fans just emotionally driven, just running their jibs because they can. This is the problem we have in the sport of boxing. It's people like that Oh, it never. Clay, what did we say before we start? You know they coming.
Oh yeah, they come in and they heard what they needed. First things first. They coming right in the building. First things first. Um, but here it is, Tyrese Johnson. If I could just throw something at you, something food for thought, right? Try this jacket on. There's two ways to talk about this situation with Boots and Brian Norman, right? Now, listen, I happen to be on the side of the conversation. I just had a conversation with Boots about it where I'm like, man, Brian Norman Sr. really, I think, gaslit the space a little bit on this fight and how much he wanted to fight. But at the same time, Boots had to come and kind of just also bring to light that there's a business of boxing, right? And there's an understanding that everybody has their trajectory in boxing and where they're trying to go. So what makes more sense? Are we speaking as boxing fans? Are we talking in the spirit of a fight being made, or are we sitting here trying to point fingers and call people ducks? Because calling people ducks is good for the shock value, right? I'm sure it's entertainment for us to sit up here for the next 3 hours and call somebody a duck, right? That's understood. But what about the fight being made? And the reason I say that to you is take into consideration that Boots Ennis was this close to becoming a unified champion at 147, right? He actually had a fighter who had a belt, who had a price in order to make the fight. And I say that because you have to compare that to his negotiations with Stanonis, his negotiation with Mario Barrios, that seemed like he was never going to get a fight with him. But you got somebody like Brian Norman, who through the grace of the boxing gods, right, put him in a position where he won an upset victory over Santillan, right, and got and acquired a WBO title and was upgraded to full WBO champion when Terrence Crawford went ahead and vacated the belts, right? So here Boots Ennis has a potential once in a lifetime opportunity at 147 to become a unified champion, and the cost is going to be a half a ticket, right? Maybe even been able to get away with a $300,000 payment, right? Being that I heard Brian Norman Sr. said, you know what? If you give us the $2 million, we'll let it ride, bro. We'll go ahead and make it happen. So let's say $300,000, and Boots doesn't jump on the opportunity to pay the $300,000 in order for his own legacy. He looked at Brian Norman and said Brian Norman's not worth it, but didn't look at the WBO title. Didn't give the value to the WBO title. Now walking away from that opportunity to get outbidded in a fight where, let's be honest, Eddie Hearn moved away from that bid because he knew there was no money in that, right? So my question is, what's the use in calling whoever a duck? You can feel however you feel about it, but at the same time, isn't the biggest tragedy the fight that Boots Ennis doesn't get to be a unified champion because of $300,000? Isn't that what it is?
Yep. So Tyrese Johnson said, "I'm better than Blue with this boxing talk, since he say he know everything." Cool. Why are you still talking in the chat when I sent you the link? Please explain that to me. That all sounds good, but here goes the link, and come prove your point. You're better than me with this boxing talk, and your issue is with Blue. Of course, your issue is with Blue. So click the link and come and explain. You've been
Harvey said,
watching
don't
boxing for.
say.
He said he's been watching boxing for 27 years.
I mean,
Okay,
that's
cool.
awesome.
That's well
Or
and dandy,
30.
but I've been watching boxing longer than you.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Harvey M. He said, don't say by the grace of the boxing gods that worked and won that fight. Nah, he won that fight. Like, what I'm saying is the opportunity was there, right? That he was an underdog. He wasn't expected to win that fight. He dominated that fight hands down. But, going into that fight, most people, Harvey, did not expect Brian Norman to win that fight. Like, I knew that Brian Norman was probably going to win. I'll be honest with you, because I just know his pedigree.
All right,
But
what you're saying is he wasn't expected to win the fight.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because if Santillan would have won that fight, he probably would, you know what I mean? Like, would Boots have gotten that fight? Maybe, maybe not, right? But Boots has been struggling at 147 to get these fights. Nobody's jumping to fight him.
No,
So
no.
now
And let me correct you there, Clay. He ain't been struggling at 147. He been struggling to get big fights his whole career.
100%.
He's 27. He got 27 years old. He has 32 fights. No marquee fights.
Right.
Eddie Hearn knew this, how difficult it is before he went into the negotiations to sign Jaron Ennis. You know how difficult it is to get him fights before you signed him.
Yep.
So go ahead, Clay.
And I mean, that's awesome that you're saying that, because I wonder, and I have to ask myself, what kind of conversation was had between between Boots and the Boots and his team, right? The Boots team and Eddie Hearn. What was understood about the direction we were going to go with your career? I have to believe that it was addressed like, listen, man, there's a difficulty in making these fights. I've heard Eddie Hearn speak on different interviews about how he hoped that they'd be able to offer the proper compensation to get these fights to go. Almost in the back of his voice, you heard the "it might not work" energy, right? Like this might not work because it just looks like people don't want to fight him. What was the B plan? You know, there had to be a B plan if you sign Boots Ennis. The conversation had to be there. Like, if this doesn't work, being that we have all this data showing that it hasn't been working, we're going to try to bring a little bit more money to the table and try to push these fights forward. But if they don't happen, what's the game plan? Was 154 already taken into consideration to the point to where Boots was comfortable enough to walk away from this and say, you know what? Turkey wants to do business with me at 154. There's a lot of money waiting for me at 154 because Turkey wants to fund that. Turkey's not interested in my 147-pound career. He doesn't care about it too much. He's going to allow Eddie Hearn the opportunity to go ahead and do the best he can down here. But if it doesn't work, were they just ready to become prize fighters and go to 154 and chase the big bag and get the biggest fights? And if legacy fell in line with that, so be it. But kind of moving away from that, being that he's 27 years old, is that possible? You know, is that possible? Because
now think
I
about
saw
this
this
too,
coming.
Here goes where the contradictions come in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like you said, that could have been the play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now think about this. After he beat Avanesian, they asked him about going to 54 to fight Terrence Crawford. And Eddie Hearn said, no, no, no. Maybe down the line we'll go fight Terrence Crawford, but right now the plan is to collect all the belts at 47.
100%.
So, like you said, do they even have a plan?
I mean, I think you try to speak positivity into a situation, right? You try to say, listen, we're all on the same page. We're focused on becoming undisputed at 147. So we're not going to even talk about 154 because right now the assignment, on the bucket list, the to-do list that we have in front of us, 147 undisputed is what we've all agreed we're going to work our tail off to make happen. But like I said, going into business with Boots Ennis, you had to know it was an uphill battle, that you were facing an uphill battle off rip. Signing that paperwork, it had to be understood, hey, Boots, it's going to be an uphill battle. I don't need to tell you that. You've been in the uphill battle by yourself pretty much up to this point. I'm coming to join you on something you have more experience than me in, which is your career and where it's been heading. We got to have a game plan one way or the other because this might not work out. We might not be able to get you these fights because it really looks like, from the outside looking in, let's be honest, it just looks like nobody wants to fight you. It doesn't look like the right deal's not being made. It doesn't look like, the timing is wrong, or no, it looks like nobody wants to fight you. That's why the Brian Norman Jr. situation was such an opportunity, in my opinion, for Boots, because deep in your heart, you wasn't. Come on, man. Nobody wanted to fight you. You got somebody with a belt who's willing to fight you. Granted, he's putting his price point very high, but at the same time, you can't knock the Normans all the way because they also understand the trajectory. At least the management of the Normans understands the trajectory that Boots Ennis has been in. And they're like, yo, bro, get your money out of him because nobody else going to fight him for less than what we're going to offer him because they've been ducking that boy his whole career in this division. Get your money. That was the moment to step up for either Eddie Hearn or Boots Ennis or that whole team together as a team. That was their opportunity to make the sacrifice and get this fight done. No matter how anybody feels about Brian Norman. And trust me, I have my reservations about the way that rollout went with Senior and calling out the fight. I can understand. I mean, price out conversation can be entertained, right? It can be entertained, but does it matter? It doesn't matter. What matters is, on the Boots side of the conversation, is there's an opportunity there for you to become a unified champion, and you let it go, which leads me to believe, were you already willing to let it go? Were you already entertaining going to 154? Were you, Eddie Hearn, were you guys already ready to be like, if this doesn't work right here, we're already ready to go? Or was Boots and his team really in the dark Were you guys really in the dark and just caught off guard with the way Eddie Hearn carried this? Because Eddie Hearn also last week said, listen, we're going to try, but we have to consider. He said, I'm getting into a conversation with the team right now. We have to have a meeting and talk about, are we going to go to 154 or are we going to sit down here and defend this belt? Y'all recall that. You have to assume that that conversation happened, and what happened in that conversation. The Boots and Eddie Hearn, the Boots' team and Eddie Hearn come to the conclusion like, yo, bro, let them have it. We going to 154. I don't know.
And again, right? For Boots, going into any commitments with your talent and not having the marquee fights with your talent and your skill set, when you go into any commitment, you need to stay individual, or B, you have to let anybody know that you sign with. To get the ball rolling, to start this off, we might have to overpay somebody more than what we value
Period.
them at.
That's a fact, boo.
It just is what it is.
We had to know that going in, right? It's like going in to bid for a car. It's like, yo, Blue, we're going to the auction. Blue sees the car he always wanted. I'm just riding with Blue because I ain't buying no cars. That's Blue who's buying the cars, right? So we're going into the auction. Blue's like, yo, that Maserati I was looking for. Remember that year and the color and the leather and everything I saw? Me, yo, they're going to have it at this auction. I already know everybody going to want this Maserati, though, so I'm going in here. I already know my mindset got to be ready to go ham or don't even bid because I already know everybody. You can't go up in there talking about, man, this Maserati ain't worth more than 100 grand. Why y'all got this up at 200 grand? I need to talk to somebody. No, bro, it's an auction, bro. You going in here, you either want the damn Maserati or you don't want the Maserati. You can't be thinking about the numbers. You got to be thinking about the Maserati, bro. And in Boots' conversation, as far as he's concerned, you can't be talking about numbers. You got to be talking about the WBO title. You got to be talking about unification. That's what you got to be talking about. You got to be talking about knocking this out and getting this unification. Money can't be the number one thing in front. As soon as I see money become the number one thing, it starts to make me feel like you already considered not getting that title. You already considered your next move because you had to know what was going to happen.
Especially when it's not a lot of money. Like you said, the offer was 1.7. They got to the point where they said, give us the 300,000, we'll just make it happen. Right?
Let's close it out at 2.
You know, at some point in time, you're going to, because of your talent, high risk, low reward. Okay? Me and you talked about this on the phone. It goes back to Floyd Mayweather, right?
Right.
He couldn't get Asalina Freitas. He couldn't get Shane Mosley. He couldn't get Prince Nassim Hamed. He couldn't get Joe Casamayor. He couldn't get Oscar De La Hoya. They were Trinidad. They didn't want to commit to fighting Floyd because the risk was too high and the reward was too low. His talent speaks for itself. They all knew, and I'm not saying Brian Norman don't expect to win, but they all knew it's an uphill battle. And then on top of that, you think about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boots has not even had the marquee name fight. So you don't have a real argument because Ryan Norman can make the same argument at 23 years of age. How much more have you done at this point? At that point in your career, you 27.
Right.
How much more have you done in your career than I have done thus far? Because you didn't unify the belts. You didn't win the belt in the ring. Now, is that out of his control? Yeah, because the politics. But it goes back to one thing again, like I said before. He's a generation behind the generation.
Right in that horrible area. Because he's also a generation a little bit ahead of Norman. He's like right in that gray, weird area where it's like...
Yeah, he's you know what he is? You know what generation he's in? He's in the Floyd Mayweather generation. He's in the Floyd Mayweather boat. Floyd Mayweather got caught in that boat like that was slightly because of his weight classes, right? He got caught slightly behind Oscar and them, right? But in the same boat as Casamayor, Prince Nassim, right?
Right.
So, but they were like, with all that talent, We like you said, we garnered a bigger name than you have.
Right.
Why do we have to take the risk of fighting on Floyd Mayweather? The
Right.
only one that took the risk, and that kind of ruined it for Floyd. Me and you talked about this, was Diego Corrales, because at
Diego.
one point Diego Corrales was like, bro, fight for who? What has he done? Who's Floyd Mayweather?
Exactly.
He
Exactly.
just got to the point where he was like, bro, I'm tired of y'all talking about this dude being ducked. I'm gonna fight him. And look how that turned out for Diego, the late
Got
great
shut down
Diego.
his pockets multiple times, looking like, damn, bro. And he looked like it on his face during the fight, like, damn, bro, this little young bull knocking me on my tail, bro. I wasn't supposed to be in
And
here,
guess
man.
what happened? Guess what happened, Clay? Everybody
Mhm.
else was like, see, told you, told you. And what happened after that, Clay? No Kodo, no Prince Nassim, no Shane
Yup.
Mosey. They was like, told you.
Why you getting
Well,
there with that young boy?
well, for what? For what? Because
Yeah.
we still could dance around you and have legacy fights.
Big facts. Big facts.
We could dance.
Um,
We could dance. We could fight each other and still have legacy fights without fighting you.
the business of boxing, that's why it's one of two things, Blue. It's either they got caught off guard with this, or this was already factored in to the move, bro. It had to, and I want to give them the intelligence accolades to say that you guys had to see this coming. You had to know, just based off of the experience you had with Mario Barrios and Stanonis, what this might look like with Brian Norman. I think they tried to take advantage of the fact that Brian Norman was young and had a lot of motivation, was going to try to make something happen with his career, that they can go ahead and slide something to him and they were going to take it. And like I said, the one complaint I have with the Normans, if I have any complaints, is just the social media campaign that happened for the past 2 weeks. It's just like, man, in many ways, and you can see it in the chat right now. People in the chat are feeling the burn of the duck, right? They want to call Brian Norman a duck because it's like you really gaslighted everybody into believing that this was the most important thing for you right now at this point, that you wanted to shut Boots up, that you wanted to make this fight, and that you were willing to negotiate to make the fight. And it seems like, although Boots allowed the fight to slide away for a little bit of money, you guys also allowed the opportunity to slide away for a little bit of money. But you guys were talking crazy, right? You guys were talking crazy during the whole situation. But like I said, there's many different moving parts of this conversation. If we're talking about the Boots side of this conversation, which is what we're talking about, Boots may have dropped the ball with the opportunity that was in front of him that he could have done, or he already knew this was going to happen this way, and he already planned on going to 154. He was just giving one final shot at Norman to be like, yo, let's make it happen. Let's see if we can make it happen. But if he doesn't want to make it happen, we're so used to this. We're already ready. We already got the second game plan already. The B plan is already lined up. We're ready to go to 154 anyway. And Boots is a big 147 pounder. It's all very reasonable. It's all very reasonable to take into consideration that Boots was ready to go to 154 probably a little while ago. Everybody's pressuring him to go to 154. Turkey's talking about paying him a lot of money at 154. Nobody's trying to fight him at 147. What does it look like? Come on, man. Let's be real.
Now, and so here's the thing: why I said that, so you got to look at it like this. They talking about Terrence Crawford fight, but then at the same time saying that he's down the road, we're going to unify these belts. But then if your plan is to go to 154, then why are you telling us Terrence Crawford down the road?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? You here to collect all the belts at 54 first. Remember, Eddie told us that that's what he told Turkey Al-Sheikh when Turkey Al-Sheikh said, do you want to make the Crawford fight next? And he said, we're going to collect all these belts at 147 first. And now on the flip side of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have any leverage, it doesn't matter if it's Brian Norman, Mario Barrios, Stanonis, or somebody at 154. You are going to have to pay them. Ain't nobody coming to Philly to fight you. Like Eddie Hearn is saying, the market is in Philly. Nobody, Terrence Crawford ain't coming to Philly.
No, hell no. Come on. You know that already.
Errol Spence ain't going to Philly.
Nope.
Fundora ain't going to Philly.
Nope.
Tim Tszyu ain't going to Philly.
Nope. You going to Australia. You going to Arkansas.
You going to Vegas.
Texas. You going to you going wherever they tell you to go is
Right.
where you headed.
So here's the thing, right?
Or Omaha, I mean,
If
yeah.
his market, if Eddie Hearn, this is why I'm saying it's they're doing him a disservice. Because if you telling the world that you got to put him in Philly because that's where the market for him is, then if I'm a fighter that dragging you out of Philly, then your value ain't that high.
Mm.
So I don't gotta pay you. Just like you ain't gotta pay Brian Norman. This is why I say when you throw boomerangs in the dark, they will come back to hit you in the face.
Yes, you're right.
So okay, your value is in Philly. You heard what Stanonis said yesterday? You didn't hear what he said?
Oh, I missed it. What did he say?
He said Boots ain't did nothing. And so Ness said, well, Boots sold out in Philly. He said, yeah, that's just like me going to Lithuania. Of course I'll sell out in my hometown.
Right.
Where can he sell outside of that? That they are telling us that we need to bow down to him and come to Philly and take and tell us what to take. That's what Stanonis said. He said, ain't nobody scared of Boots, but why we got to fight him on his terms? Like he's done something more than everybody else. And the truth of the matter is, he has not.
Man.
He has, I deem him to be, in my eyes, and I can't speak for Clay or anybody else. In my eyes, I say this all the time. To me, he's the best athlete I've seen since Roy Jones. Now,
Boots, right? I
yeah,
agree with you.
Boots.
I agree with you.
Right? So now my expectations, like me and you just talked about, my expectations of what Boots is has not been put to paper. We haven't seen it yet.
Right.
I expect him to look dazzling against Stanonis, Barrios, so on and so forth, right?
Right.
But the truth of the matter is we haven't seen it yet.
You're right.
So
You're right.
it goes like this, right? When NFL, NBA players, you come out of the draft and they paying you more than the vets on the team. Hold on, bro. You ain't dribble a basketball in this league. Because the truth of the matter is, you could be the number one draft pick and be a straight bust.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have proof in the sport of boxing where we have guys that we held in high regard and they turned out not to be that.
100%. Well,
right? Jeff Lacey went over there at Fort Kawasaki and got the absolute brakes beat off him.
and the eye test said he was going to be one of them guys.
He was
going to be
one of them guys. His left hook was, boy, we was comparing Jeff Lacey to, boy, he was that dude.
Yeah.
Remember Roy Jones got offended. He like, y'all comparing his left hook to mine, and he ain't do nothing yet.
Yeah.
So my expectations, because I have people hit me up, they say, Blue, you calling Boost a phenom. In my eyes, he's a phenom.
Right.
Based off of the eye test. I had the privy to watch him in sparring and training and things of that nature, right? Mm-hmm. So that can also elevate my expectations of who he is. But the fact remains. The fact is that can't be disputed is we haven't seen him in. I expect him when he get in there to perform. I think he's going to elevate his performance.
100%.
But the truth is we haven't seen him do it yet.
Right.
To say that everybody got to sacrifice to go fight Boots. And Stanonis was right when he said, I'm going to play the clip for you right now. Hold on. And then I was like, man, how could you argue with that?
Listen, man, to these fighters, you just a fighter. But you also, and you're a good fighter. I think most fighters see what we see as far as the possibilities and the potential that Boots has. But ultimately, yeah, man, the getting into this conversation, Eddie Hearn, Boots, you have to know when you're dealing with Boots, you better be ready to put some money behind him if that's what you want. If you want these fights to happen in Philly, you want him to get unification title fights, you got to be ready to spend the most money. And I think Eddie Hearn right now is also in a chapter in his journey in his career where he's more concerned about them ROIs than he's been in the previous years. He was willing to take more risk and put money up, and he wasn't so concerned about the return maybe a couple years ago. But these days, it seems like he's more concerned, especially when you got Turkey Al-Sheikh there. I mean, that's another part of the conversation, right? Is Eddie Hearn's role that he plays in this process of look, I'm not going to go into a situation where I'm not going to make the money, especially when I have Turkey there who's willing to foot the bill at 154. Turkey's willing to put the money up at 154. So it's like we can all make money at 154. Boots, you can get the biggest bag. We don't got to think about it. I'm going to get my cut. I don't have to take the risk. And you'll get in some of the biggest fights up there. At 147, the amount of money that Eddie Hearn has to put out to make those fights happen, what kind of profit, what kind of return is Eddie Hearn looking at making if he's paying the fighters that are fighting Boots north of $3 million?
Right. And that's my point. It's like let's listen to this.
You're going on different network. You're going in his town, like to the Lions Den or something, and everything is going to be against you. And it's a unification fight. It's not if he fought like Avanesian and he got more, so it doesn't make sense in my eyes, Everybody have different opinion, but I don't know. Look, also, it's a unification fight, They say, oh, Boots, I saw this. They are saying, like, he has, like, a big name and he sells, like, arena. But, yes, he sells in Philadelphia, but he doesn't sell, like, in Los Angeles or anywhere else. Like me, I can sell arena in Lithuania, So I'm superstar here. Everybody knows, and I will sell out the arena completely. So what that means, we have, it's no different. We have the titles, and it's unification fight. So why somebody has to be a bigger or better, Everything, I think it's the same.
Yeah.
So you see what he's saying, right? So
completely, yeah.
I'm talking about Eddie. He wants to bring a fight to the Boots territory, so they have to pay. I think Brian Norman, right? Not just going back and forth. So.
So you see what Stanonis said?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Everybody keeps saying Brian Norman's a ducking.
Mm-hmm.
But Barrios, Stanonis, and they all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because we are judging Boots based off of his potential. They are judging him based off of what he has done. I'm a champion, you're a champion. What did you do more than me?
But at the same time, they're also judging this is going to be a hard fight, and I'm probably going to lose.
For sure.
They're thinking about that. They're like, not only the territory and all that stuff, they're thinking about Boots himself as well.
Exactly. So you want me to have this tough fight with this dude in his backyard in a unification.
Yeah.
And what do I get out of it?
Exactly. Because I think if this fight would have even happened, let's say they would have been like, let's make this fight happen in Vegas or, in New York at the Barclays or something like that. I think there would have still been reservation and still been issues on making this fight happen. You know what I'm saying? This is not because it's in Philly. I don't believe that these guys aren't fighting Boots because it's Philly. I believe it's Boots.
Well, on top of that, but two, the thing is that like Brian Norman said, okay, you want to give us 1.7, do it in Vegas. It's not just the location, it's the taxes now. So we do it in Vegas. I'm taking my bread home.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
You're right. Yeah.
So now we do it in Vegas at a neutral site. No problem. Now I'm taking my bread home. I'm going to get my bread that I'm looking for the 1.7. Let's do it in Vegas. Then it's like, well, no, you don't control. But why do he control is the point for their standpoint.
Right.
What makes him, okay, for instance, Stanonis, he beat Thomas Delorme that Boots fought.
Right.
He beat Luis Collazo, right? But he also beat Butayev, right? In an action-packed fight. And he beat Gabriel Masri. So when you look at Boots' resume compared to Stanonis's, what has he done so much more than Stanonis?
Right.
Because in reality is Butayev, remember, this is what's ironic. Remember, Butayev was Errol Spencer's mandatory.
Right.
That's why he fought on Errol Smith's card. Remember?
Yeah.
And then, but Stanonis beat him. So Butayev, compared to who on Boots' resume is equal to Butayev. That's a better win. Now I think Boots stops Butayev. It doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, if you Stanonis and if I'm comparing my resume to yours, and we both champions and we both got our belts the same exact way, actually the only person that got the belt the hard way was Brian Norman.
Right. Brian fought he was an underdog. You know what I mean? He actually fought. I mean, it was still for an interim title,
Right.
right? But
Right.
I mean, similar to Boots fought for an interim title as well. But I say the quality of fight, the competitiveness of the fight. Now what would Boots have done against Santillan? Probably
I
would have stopped
think
him as
he
well.
obliterates him.
Exactly. So, you know.
But yeah, but what I'm saying is, right, Boots obliterates these dudes, right? But what I'm saying is, from the standpoint of Stanonis, I got marquee victories. Our victories is the same. You haven't done more than I've done.
Right. From the standpoint of negotiating, right?
Exactly. From the
Right.
standpoint of negotiating. Yeah, you might beat the brakes off him, but you didn't beat the brakes off him. I did.
Right.
And
Right.
so when you compare resumes, what did you do more than what did I did for you to deserve to be treated like a king and me to be treated like a second class citizen?
Yeah, I gotta come to you and take the B-side money.
You heard what Stanonis said. I gotta go to your network. I gotta pay my network to go to your network, fight you in your backyard, and you haven't done more than what I have done.
Yep.
And then you don't want to pay me. You want to pay me what you want to pay me. That's the standpoint that they're looking at it. So, if from the standpoint of Boots, if I'm Boots' team, I would have said to Eddie, "Hey, bro, pay him. If it got to come out of mines, if it got to come out, we got to meet halfway because it's about me. It's not about them. It's about me.
Right.
I have to. If I don't get this opportunity, I'm always going to be behind on the A ball.
Yeah, nobody's gonna help me out. Ain't no justice in boxing. I keep telling y'all, it's money in, money out, bro. Ain't no justice in boxing. Ain't no court. Ain't no right and wrong. You worth what you can negotiate. Period.
So you look at it from this thing. Me and you was talking about earlier. He go to 154. Who's he now? Eddie Hearn loses the purse bid to Cameron, right? For $2 million to go to Germany. So Eddie Hearn didn't want to pay for Cameron.
I knew that was gonna happen though. Karen was Sando Martin at 147. It was like, I'm not doing this. There ain't no money in this fight. Ain't no excitement in this fight. I'm not doing it. It was going to be for the bare minimum, or if you guys want it, you can have it. I knew that wasn't going to happen. I thought that if it came down to him fighting Karen, I thought he was just going to vacate and go to 154. And I feel like they kind of like they have vacated already without announcing it yet. It's like, yeah, so we're not going to Germany. And yeah, they wanted too much money. This fight's worth no money to me. Eddie's concerned with that return. And like I said earlier in this conversation, my only question is, were the Ennises on board from the beginning for this potential outcome? Were they on board for this outcome? And this has nothing to do with calling them ducks or saying that they didn't want it, but you do have to get to a point. I know me personally, as a fan of Boots Ennis, I was very exhausted with the conversation of getting him these fights at 147. I was very exhausted as a fan. I could only imagine how exhausted they have been as fighters coming out of that situation with Cameron and Steven Espinoza and Showtime and having to go to court. I don't know who knows how much money they spent on their lawyers to get out of that deal. At some point in the game, you have to get to the B plan. You have to get to we have to have a conversation. What if it doesn't work out for us?
And that's what I was saying, Clay.
Mm-hmm.
For me, as a fan of Boots,
mm-hmm.
and believing in his talent, his skill set, it's frustrating for me. Never mind what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see him get these opportunities.
Yeah.
Bro, this is the opportunity right here. Make the sacrifice, get the belt.
Yeah. But
And in my opinion, you beaten from Boots' standpoint, you will be beaten in many. I think Brian Norman is the second best welterweight now.
I mean, it would look like that on paper. How
On
about
paper.
this? This deal with Eddie Hearn is a 3-fight deal, right?
I don't know.
I think it is. I think, from what I understand, I think it's a 3-fight deal. So he's already had the fight with Avanesian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means he has 2 fights left on his deal with Eddie Hearn, arguably, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is he going to spend the money? How realistic does Boots think it is for him to become undisputed at 147? How realistic is it? Like, let me ask you, how realistic is it that he would become undisputed at 147 with all the politics he has to deal with the cross the street politics of the PBC, with the high money that everybody's going to be asking for, with the history of what Boots has gone through to get these fights? How realistic is it? And the reason I say that is because when you have Turkey Al-Sheikh waiting for you at 154 like this, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? And you're like, I'm almost ready. I'm just trying to get these last couple of things squared away. He's like, all right, I'm waiting on you. All this money waiting on you there. All these big fights, not just money, big, significant legacy fights for him at 154.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get to the point where you just understand what you're looking at and you move according to the data? You got somebody like Eddie Hearn who's going to, I believe Eddie Hearn's going to sit down with these guys and be like, listen, guys, this is what we're facing, right? He's going to talk to them. He's going to say money in, money out. This is what we look like over here. This is what your bank account looks like. This is what your legacy looks like over here. This is what we look at 147. Uphill battle, ducking, high prices, people not wanting to meet you anywhere or meet you halfway anywhere. You're going to have to completely concede and bend the proverbial knee to maybe get these opportunities and still walk out at the end without an undisputed title. You don't think it's possible that Boots got convinced to make this move to 154 from the beginning of the contract signing with Eddie Hearn?
I'm gonna be honest, no. You know why? That's why they was kicking the tires on these fights at 147. Mm-hmm. Because Boots is like, bro, this is my goal. But what they did was they got him to sign. They're gonna tell him we did our best. Now we gotta do it our way.
Yeah.
And their best was not putting their best foot forward. Right? What they did was inquire. They window shopped. They wasn't going there with the intention of buying anything. They was going with the intention of window shopping. Because they don't want to be in that mall to begin with. They want to shop in the mall that they want to shop in. But they did it just enough to say, well, we went there and now Boots he's like, oh, okay, well, I guess they don't want to fight. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But you didn't sacrifice to make the fight, because this was the fight to make undisputed realistic for Boots. This was the fight. Yeah. This was the sacrifice you needed to bridge that gap to fight for undisputed. But Clay, they don't want to pay for him to fight Mario Barrios and Stanonis.
Paying them is one thing, right? But you can't force nobody to fight you, right? It's like, okay, let's pay you, right? But the amount of adversity for what? The bigger fights. Who's a bigger fight? Virgil Ortiz versus Boots, or Stanonis versus Boots? Tim Tszyu versus Boots, or Mario Barrios versus Boots? Like, you're gonna deal with the adversity regardless. At 154, you're gonna deal with it. At 147, you're gonna deal with it. But you got that turkey money at 154. You got that turkey money. You got that $5 million to $10 million guaranteed money to fight on a rehab card. You got the relief of Turkey as far as Eddie Hearn is concerned. Like, I ain't got to come up with the bread. Now I just got to promote the biggest fights. It's very profitable to be involved with helping to put together the biggest fights in boxing, right? Now, Eddie Hearn wishes he had a bank account like a Turkey Al-Sheikh, but he doesn't. So he's limited. He's limited with his resources. He's limited to what he can get done on his own. And Turkey's leaving him 147. Like, 147 is your business, bro, my brother. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Inshallah, that all work for you in your favor. But 154, this is where me and you get to talk. This is where Boots gets to come to the table and we start to talk about making these big fights and getting big money for Boots. There had to be, man, I'm telling you, man, there had to be, there's a lot of motivation in there, a lot of vested interest. And I know everybody, I know what they said. I get what Boots Ennis has been saying, what Bosie's definitely been saying. And I think Bosie's definitely been on that conversation. He really, I almost feel like Bosie wants that undisputed at 147 a little bit more than Boots, just a little bit more, not a lot more, just a tiny bit more, where Boots might be a little more exhausted with the way his career has been looking for the past year and a half, and he's just more focused on activity. He's more focused on fighting. He's doing all this training. He's cutting all this weight. I don't care what nobody says. Boots is cutting a lot of weight to compete at 147, bro. He's doing all of that for what? If undisputed, it's one of those like, Doc, tell me the truth. Just rip the Band-Aid off and tell me the truth. Am I going to be undisputed at 147? I'm be honest with you, 75%, 70% no. But we're gonna shoot as hard as we can for that 30 to 25%. We're gonna shoot as hard as we can to make it happen. But I don't want to lie to you. More than likely, it's not gonna happen. What's next? Well, if it ain't gonna work, man, 154. 154. I think Boots is happy. And I'm saying that because I'm more so concerned with Boots' happiness. I want to see him undisputed, right? But the game plan is a game plan. The strategy is a strategy. Eddie Hearn is a thinking man. He's a strategist. You know what I mean? He's not going to sign Boots Ennis without a bigger picture in view. Now, the question is, was he being upfront with Boots, or did he plan this behind Boots' back and Boots just got in a deal with Eddie Hearns? You could look at it either way. You could look at it. Eddie could have been very upfront with Boots and be like, this is what we're dealing with. I don't know, but man.
And let me get these super chats. Salute to LT in the super chat, dropping that cinco on us in the super chat. He said, Blue, salute. Clay, salute. He said, here come the publicity stunts by fighters seeking Turkey's favorable purses. He said, Bud did it the right way. Where did we go wrong with this generation? Social media, Floyd Mayweather. It's a plethora of things. There's many things that factor into it. It's a plethora of things, man. Kenny Powell's brother in the super chat dropping that cinco on us in the super chat. What's up, Blue? Off subject, but still have a boxing question. Do you think Lara can be the first fighter to stop Garcia? Yes. I don't think he will, because Lara just simply don't take the chances, but he can be the first fighter to do it. But Lara is a safety first fighter. He's happy with the victory. He's not. It don't have to be a knockout. He's just happy with the victory. So I think he can. I don't think he will, simply because Danny Garcia got a granite chin, and Lara is a safety first fighter. So you put yourself in that wheelhouse with Danny Garcia, and he hit you with one of them blind left hooks. It's good night, Irene. So what you think, Clay?
I think it's very possible that Lara could stop Danny Garcia, but I don't believe that's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be shocked to see. I'll tell you like this though. This could be the end of Danny Garcia. This could be the end of this could be the retirement show. This could be. I could see Lara giving that kind of, right, that kind of beating to him to where Danny's straight. Because I'll be honest with you. I think 160 is a little big for him. Pause.
I personally think. I agree. I think this is Danny last. If Lara beats him, depending upon if there's controversy, he'll come back. Like Danny's not even a boxer anymore. Like, what's the plan?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is like he just woke up and was like, you know what? Let me see if I could be if I could be a world champion in the third weight class.
Right. And money.
Right.
Why
like
not?
it's not. There's no rhyme and reason behind him fighting Lara.
Nah.
There's no goal. There's no plan. It's just a fight.
This is like Al called him up, or somebody at PBC called him up, like, we got a bag for you if you want it. And he's like, hey, I'm down for the bag. What you talking about? Right. Well, look, man, boop, championship belt. Lara just got him. He's on the WBA belt up there. We can get you involved in that. And Danny, like, you know what? Let's do it, bro. Yeah, let's get this money.
Yeah. J Petty City, brother in the super chat, dropping that cinco on us in the super chat. Haney made sacrifices and Mayweather made sacrifices. These fighters just want to make money without having to work hard for it. Well, the sacrifice, J Petty City, is on the part of Jaron Ennis.
Yeah.
See, the sacrifices that you just mentioned, right? Let me give you an example.
He on time. About that time.
This dude is amazing, man. Amazing. So
I'd buy some ice cream from him if I was out there, bro. I show him some love. Like, you know what? Come here, bro. Let me get some ice cream for all the kids on the block, bro. You come here so faithfully.
ain't no kids out on my block. Never.
But why is he coming down your block then?
Bro, this is what I'm trying to tell you. There's never no kids out here. Never. So what I'm glad you said that, J Pitty. Think about this. Who was the higher profile guy? Devin Haney or Cambosis? Devin Haney was.
100%.
But Devin Haney sacrificed. He went to Australia, right? He took less money. He been making way more money than Cambosis his entire career. Mm-hmm. He took less money to fight Cambosis for undisputed because he understood what it meant to get the belts. So in that case, the person making the sacrifice will be Boots.
Right.
Sacrificing to get the belt. Haney sacrificed to get the belts from Cambosis. Because many people felt like Cambosis got lucky against Teofimo. He agreed for a rematch clause, went to Australia, and took less money.
Yeah. But is Brian Norman Boots' Cambosis?
Yeah.
Because Cambosis was a free meal, in my opinion. I ain't gonna lie to you, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't think
Brian Norman is a free meal.
Yeah, he's not a free meal, but he represents the next level. He represents what you where you looking to get.
Right.
This is what you needed. This sacrifice. This is the sacrifice that comes around every now and then. It was the Diego Corrales for Floyd. It was is the Cambosis for Devin. You know, some fighters have it harder.
Yeah.
Tank didn't have to do that. Right?
Tank had the blueprint, man. They put him in the machine. They just stuck him in the template and was like, just do what you do. We gonna do everything that we supposed to do around you. And they just gave him the
he had Floyd. He had Floyd.
Yeah.
So therefore, but Tank lived up to it. Tank never had no lackluster performances. He exceeded the expectations.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Tank did. He wasn't past the baton. He snatched it.
Mm-hmm.
Tank said, "Oh, y'all co-signing me? Let me show you something.
Right.
Let me show you they right with what they talking about."
Right.
That's what Tank did. This is where we needed Boost to grab that baton. Hey, bro, let me make the sacrifice. Let me make a statement. No disrespect to Brian Norman Sr. But let me make that statement. Let me show y'all I am who they said I am. And I'm gonna make a sacrifice to show you I am who I am.
Yeah, I'm
him. And now you make a case for all these other dudes ducking me.
Yeah.
Right? This was the opportunity. That's where the ball was dropped, people. It's not about people continue to and me and Clay was just talking about this earlier, and we disagreed.
Mm-hmm.
But my point was, and then Clay was like, you know what? I see where you're coming from.
I'm about to say I didn't really disagree like that. Right. What I disagree with is I agree because I said this before. I was on another channel on Greg Haggett's channel like a couple of days ago, and I told him that the moving parts of this, you know what I mean, and just to say that there's ownership on both sides of the conversation, you know what I mean. On the Boots side, though, Boots can only be concerned with what Boots can control, and Boots had a lot more options in this negotiation than just walking away. If he really wanted to become a unified champion, if Boots wanted to become a unified champion, Boots could have became a unified champion in this conversation. That's all I'm saying, right? If Boots wanted to become a unified champion, Boots could have became a unified champion in this situation. y'all got to think about what I'm saying before y'all feel like I'm going off the tracks, right? But at the same time, Brian Norman, clearly, if Brian Norman Jr. and Sr. wanted this fight, they also could have made this fight happen. They could have also made sacrifices to make this fight happen. Both fighters, this was a fight that was very makeable. It was doable from both sides. Concessions could have been made on both sides to make this fight happen. When you see a fight like this go by and not happen, we have to also weigh out how much were the fighters invested into, bought into the process of making this fight happen. They both seemed very comfortable with allowing it to go away.
Let me say this. I'm gonna put it in a perfect context for everybody to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Salute to my brother Tramel Brown in the super chat, dropping that half a dub. Honest in the super chat. Salute Blue and Clay. I guess the truth always comes out. Eddie Hearn. I don't want to put no money behind Boots. How are you going to get out by Russians with no network? Facts. He just got outbid by $250,000. He let Boots lose.
Because he walked away from that before the negotiations started, bro. He let it be known. Listen, Eddie Hearn did the same thing with Sandor Martin. He pretty much just showed up because his fighter's name was in the conversation. Eddie Hearn's made it clear, I'm not, me and Boots, we are not interested in this fight. We're not interested in this fight. I knew from the rip, like, we're not interested in this fight. So anything over what the bare minimum is to pay for this, just count us out. You can have it. That's what it turned into. You feel me? Anything over the bare minimum was like, it's cool. I'm straight.
Right.
I'm straight. Y'all can have it.
And now watch this now. I'm going to show y'all something. Donnie D, 1954, triple OG in the super chat. He said, we appreciate y'all's advocacy for the sport. Salute to you, OG. Triple
Salute,
OG.
Donnie. Salute.
Eric Dunn, brother in the super chat, dropping that dub. Honest in the super chat. He said, I'm a fight fan here to see fights. With that being said, Brian Norman Jr. ain't worth $2 million with $2 million in his pocket. And I don't see him having any luck at 154 getting title shots. We need a market reset. So here's the thing, Eric Dunn. It's not about, this is the piece that everybody continues to miss. It's not about what Brian Norman is worth. It's about Boots putting himself in position to get opportunities.
Yeah.
That's what people are continuing to miss. They continue to tell you what Brian Norman is and is not worth. It doesn't matter what Brian Norman is or is not worth. It's about leverage for Jaron Boots Ennis. The sacrifice. Okay, for instance, Oscar De La Hoya wasn't that guy no more. But Floyd had to concede to everything Oscar De La Hoya wanted. They had to go to 154. Oscar chose the ring. He chose the gloves. He chose the location. He chose the date. Why? Because Floyd understood, I need this fight to cash in to crossover. Floyd was already a Hall of Famer. Floyd was already a 4-division champion. He was already the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world because Roy Jones had lost. Right? Floyd was already that guy. He was already that guy. Yeah. But he understood, I got to sacrifice in this situation because Oscar is going to elevate me to the next level.
100%.
So it's not about that. Now, let me say this to people that keep saying that Brian Norman didn't do this and Brian Norman didn't want to fight and so on and so forth. Let me explain something to you. Okay? Y'all are forgetting. Brian Norman is a 23-year-old champion that just got his first opportunity. Okay? He's a 23-year-old champion that just got his first opportunity. So now, let me put it in this context.
Talk to him.
Okay? You had one Gervonta Tank Davis that was about 23 years old that became a world champion, and one Vasil Lomachenko was saying, let's unify, and Floyd said, no, we ain't putting him in the ring with you yet. You in a rush. I'm not. I'm going to build him up before I put him in the ring with you. And they built Tank up, and y'all didn't care that he built Tank up.
Payday. You want payday? I
Right?
know that.
And so Brian Norman is in the same position. But Brian Norman says the opposite of what Tank did. He said, no, Bob Arum, give me the go ahead to go over there and fight Jaron Boots Ennis.
Early.
I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to pay my promoter to come over there and fight you on your network in your backyard for your belt and my belt at 23 years of age.
Mm.
Guess what, Clay? Guess how old Boots is?
A whole
27. Right?
Yup.
Guess how old Lomachenko was? 28.
Yeah.
And Floyd was like, no, I'm not putting him in. He in the rush.
Yeah. I think. Remember, like I said earlier, it's the social media campaign, man. That's one thing that Tank probably didn't do. You know what I'm saying? That social media campaign wasn't necessarily there behind calling Loma out. Like, yeah, let's make that fight happen. Let's negotiate it, and then the money gets involved. No, it's not enough money, man. I don't know, man. I'm saying everybody got a legitimate reason to be upset in this situation. Both sides of the street in this situation have their part to bear as far as blame is concerned in this situation.
And salute to great brother Ray Davis.
Salute, Ray.
He said Brian wants the bag and Boots wants the belt. But that's not true.
Yeah, Boots want the bag too, bro.
Yeah, because if Boots wanted only the belt, then he would have said, take part of my purse and pay it to Brian Norman so I could get that belt.
But Boots want that bag too. That's another thing I was saying. Is Boots a prize fighter now?
Right.
Is he a prize fighter now? Did Boots turn into a prize fighter overnight? Did he turn into a prize fighter? Did he kind of leave the legacy alone a little bit? And is he more concerned with his business? Man?
Right. So how could we see what Tank following that blueprint, how that worked out for him? So Brian Norman can follow that blueprint. Why are we saying he's ducking? Mm-hmm. He's a 23-year-old champion that just got his opportunity, and he's willing to put he just got his opportunity. And he's willing to push all his chips in the middle of the table and bet on himself. All he's asking for is to be compensated to come to the table.
Right.
I'm willing to put all my chips in the table, but I need insurance.
Right.
I just turned 23. Boots can end and derail his career.
Yep.
So the sacrifice is on Brian. All of the sacrifices is on Brian Norman. Go to Philly, pay my promoter to go to your promoter and fight on your platform in your backyard, and you get the bigger share of the pie because you the A side. But I gotta walk home with less than $1 million. No. All I'm asking for is to be able to walk in my house with $1 million. Whatever the results are, I need to walk in my house with $1 million. That's it.
It's a fact.
Because I had to pay my promoter to leave. So for the people that continue to say this, just sounds absurd as well. Well, you go and fight on Keyshawn card. You got, well, guess what? Now I don't have to pay Bob Arum $375,000 to fight on Keyshawn card. It's all going into my pocket now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to pay those taxes to leave. What taxes is Boots paying to leave? He ain't paying no taxes. Clay, I'm starting out $375,000 in the hole. I'm already starting out in the negative.
Right.
Then I gotta pay state taxes, federal taxes. Then I gotta pay the management company. Then I gotta pay my trainer. So I'm walking away with $800,000 to fight Boots? Man, come on, man. Would Tank walk away fighting Lomachenko with $800,000? Y'all would say that's absurd.
I think $800,000 makes sense for somebody who wants the fight. You know, and I say that very respectfully, right? Like, for somebody who wants the fight, no matter what, $800,000 is very reasonable. For somebody who doesn't care about the fight that much and is like, listen, since you want the fight so much, I don't care about making this fight. I don't even want to really make this fight like that. Give me $1 million and I'll make it happen for you. But for somebody who has just as much vested interest in becoming a unified champion as Boots does, $800,000 coming from $200,000 is reasonable, is feasible, I think. You know what I'm saying? But for somebody who's thinking business-wise, who's thinking about risk versus reward, for somebody who's not all the way bought into the fact that they're going to beat Boots, they may feel like they can beat Boots, whereas Boots may be a little bit more like, I know I'm going to beat this dude, right? So I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, the argument could be made the other way because Boots also, but I don't think Boots didn't put the money up because of a fear of a loss. I think his thinking is probably more so, I'm telling you, he might have became prize fighter overnight. He might have became more business savvy and understanding the opportunities. Yeah, he might have became
I think Boots just
overnight.
No, I think Boots just does what Boots does. He just goes along with he don't kick up dust. He didn't kick up dust with Cameron Duncan. He just want to fight. You know what I'm saying? Right. He hired people to do all that other stuff, and then he sit back. $1 Dream Dude said Eddie Hearn dropped the ball. So did Brian Norman Jr. You only made $190K, and you were offered one set. Why do people keep saying that? For the life of me, why do people? We hear one thing somebody else said, and then we just keep repeating it. Why do people keep saying that? Was he a champion when he made $190,000? What are we talking about? Ryan Garcia has never made more than before he fought Tank. Ryan Garcia never made more than $1 million. He ended up with $30 million when he fought Tank. So what are we talking about?
Right.
So get this. He never made more than $1 million, Clay. He got a guaranteed purse of 3.5. Isn't that that's an upscale of 2.5 million?
Right.
So did Tank say, well, nah, bro, you ain't never made more than $1 million?
No, he paid him. He paid him accordingly.
Right.
According to the moment, according to the opportunity in the moment.
Exactly.
Right.
Again, like I keep saying, and I'm gonna say this again, just because I worked at McDonald's before while I was in med school, once I graduated med school, I'm a certified surgeon or or a physician. So if I go to a job interview, Junior the Truth, my brother in the building. It's exactly, Junior. He said, what's the purpose of becoming a champion if you're taking the same purse? My point exactly. It's just like I said, right? Once I graduate med school, when I go to the hospital and fill out application, are they going to hire me and say, well, let's look at what you got paid at McDonald's? I'm no longer working McDonald's. What are we talking about?
Yeah,
that's why I went to med school.
Right. My pay has to be on the scale of what doctors are getting paid. We need to be talking about compare me to other doctors, compare me to other champions.
Right,
they're getting paid. Don't compare me to what I got paid when I wasn't no champion. Pull up champions payments, and then let's talk from there. That's the foundation.
Exactly. It goes back to what I said with this, right, Clay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I sacrificed to go to San Diego as the underdog to fight Santillan in his backyard. That was the sacrifice to be able to become a world champion. And now I have graduated. Right. I am not that guy no more. So let me give you another example. When you go to college, do they be like, well, you know what? We're going to grade you based off what you did in high school. I'm not in high school. I graduated. Grade me off of what I am right now.
Right.
Simple. I'm not a contender. I'm not a challenger. I am a world champion now. There's stages. You have prospects, you have contenders, you have challengers, and then you have champions. He has graduated all of those stages. He is now on the same level. So why are we talking about what he did as a contender and as a prospect and as a challenger? He is not a challenger. He's not a prospect. He's not a contender. He is on the same level. There are 4 guys in his division, and he's one of the 4.
Right.
There's about 40 to 50 fighters in welterweight, but there's only 4 champions, and he's one of the 4.
Yeah.
And he earned his belt just like everybody else. Ain't nobody earned it harder than he did. He earned his belt just like everybody else did.
Right.
So we saying, well, Boots sell out in Philly. Well, guess what? How many fights he had in Philly, Clay?
Who Boots won.
Right. 1.
Yeah.
Prior to that, he fought Karen Chua-Kazim on Tank's undercard.
That name moves around like crazy. That was a new one. I ain't gonna lie. The Coach Cuisine. That was
I can't pronounce it. Oh no, I'm lying. He fought Via.
Yeah, he fought Via
in Atlantic City, right?
Atlantic City, yeah.
Right, but I mean, what big cards was he headlining prior to that?
I think everybody's is comparing. I think everybody's just looking at it more so from opportunity wise.
If you look at it this way, right? Let me give you another example. When Boots won, because they all got the belt the same way, right? Through interim, right? When Boots won the interim title, when he beat Custio Clayton, where was he, Claymore? On the undercard of Jamel Charlo.
Right.
When Brian Norman beat Centillion, he was the main event in Centillion's backyard. So my point is, they have earned it the same way. So why do people keep comparing what he made prior to that? You know why, Clay? We don't talk about what Boots made and did not make.
No.
Never have. So tell me what Boots made against Karen Chua-Kazim on Tank's undercard.
Couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
Compared to what he made to fight David Avanesian.
A lot more probably though. I think with David,
a lot more, right?
Like 3, right?
But here's where the problem lies for fighters compared to other fighters. Now you look at people going to say, well, you made most money fighting David Avanesian like Terrence Crawford did with David Avanesian, but people complained about Terrence Crawford. But we compare Boots and Terrence Crawford. Well, when Terrence Crawford fought David Avanesian, we said that everybody said that BLK overpaid him, but they paid reportedly Boots $3.3 million to fight David Avanesian. The most he's ever made in his career. Make this make sense. Why did he garner to make that much money to fight David Avanesian then? Because he graduated. He was headlining in his backyard in Philadelphia and selling tickets. Right. He graduated. That's why his money went up. Same goes for Brian Norman. He graduated. So why are we talking about what he made when he was a contender or a challenger or a prospect? Right. He's 23 years of age, and we continue to point to, oh, he only made. Well, how much was Tank making then? At 22 years of age. What are we talking about? Everybody has to start somewhere. And this is Brian Norman's starting point. So if you want me to step across the street in the beginning of my career, because this is the beginning of his career, he's 23.
Right.
And hasn't been fast-tracked. He hasn't had the opportunities that the Lomachenkos or the and I'm not going to say Tank because Tank got it the same way Brian Norman is getting it. Right? He hasn't had the opportunity. Tank didn't have the opportunities Lomachenko had. Devin didn't have those opportunities. Brian Norman didn't have those opportunities. Tio, fortunately, has been put in a position to get marquee fights, and this dude is always complaining. He got Richard Comey. He got Nakatilia. He got Lomachenko, Josh Taylor. Yet he's always talking about black fighters getting the benefit of the doubt. They getting treated better. Shakur can't get no fights. So what is he talking about? Keyshawn was supposed to get the Dennis Baranchik fight. Now he fighting Lemos. What are you talking about?
Was he supposed to get it, or wasn't it supposed to be Raymond?
He was supposed to. Keyshawn was supposed to fight Dennis Baranchik.
Okay.
Remember, Bob said if Shakur resigns, we'll make the Baranchik fight. If Shakur don't sign, it's going to be Keyshawn Davis.
Right. I thought Keyshawn deserved it for sure, but I thought they were looking at Raymond because Raymond was like one step higher than him on the rankings.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? So it's a graduation period. So why do we continue to talk about what Brian Norman made when he was a contender? That makes no sense.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think they're just looking at it as just pay. They're not looking at it as bracket. They're looking at it as trajectory. They look at it as 200,000, what you made last time. 800, walking away with $800,000 is an upgrade from 200,000. But they're not looking at it as what are the champions making. What are the champions making in comparison to what the champions are making? Brian Norman's not taking no shorts. He's like, I want to get paid what champions get paid. I don't want to just get paid more money than I got paid for my last fight when I wasn't a champion, when I was just a contender. I want to get paid. Not only did I win an interim championship and that gives me a pay raise, but now I'm a full champion because Terrence Crawford has vacated the belt. So I'm a full WBO champion. I offer the rewards of a full WBO champion. I also want to get paid. I want a payment that represents a full champion's payment. You know what I mean? And I understand it. I do understand it. But, like I said, the social media didn't help. The social media made it, just it looked like it was going to be one thing according to the social media campaign. And the reason it got put to bed doesn't match the energy of the social media campaign. It didn't match it. It didn't match the pillow fist. The I already know how to beat him. I'm looking at him as a trainer. I know exactly how I'm gonna do it to him. This, that, and the other. It didn't match that for it to be like, nah, not enough money. Sorry, not enough money. Nope. It has to be this minimum amount of money. It didn't match that energy. So they're gonna get that. They're gonna get listen, man, fight. Continue fighting, continue winning, and eventually this whole entire experience will get put into will be put in the proper perspective.
Now for J Pitty City and my great brothers, J Pitty City, and they keep saying they're talking about this fight purse, right? So this is why I say that we got to stop talking about these things, man. Let's just talk about the things, right? So salute to my brother J Pitty, not J Pitty City.
I'm about to say, I don't think he's saying something. Who is it?
$1 trillion Dream Deuce.
Okay.
Right? $1 trillion Dream Deuce and Easy Blends, right? You said that Brian Norman was getting pennies before this offer from Boots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is why I say you got to be careful what you're saying. So, Boots' last fight before David Avanesian. Now, it's reported that Boots got $3.3 million to fight David Avanesian, right? 3.3 to fight David Avanesian. Who did he fight before he fought David Avanesian, Clay?
Boots fought was it Roma Villa?
Yeah.
No. Was it Roma?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how long it's been.
Right? Because he was out the ring for a year, remember? So he fought Roma Villa.
Right? Yep. Exactly.
You know
right before Terrence and Errol fought.
Do you know what his purse was for Roman Villa?
Nope.
$1 trillion Dream Deuce, Easy Blends. Do y'all know what Boots' purse was when he fought Roman Villa? Because y'all talking about Brian Norman making pennies in his last fight. And that 1.7 is a drastic overpay. Well, Boots in his last fight got 3.3 million. Now, Boots got in the Roman Villa fight, his guaranteed purse, Clay, was 125,000.
Damn. Okay.
Roman Villa got a guaranteed purse of 50,000. Now y'all said that that means he only got, according to Eddie Hearn, Brian Norman got $100,000 check. So that means Boots only got 25,000 more than Brian Norman in his last fight.
Right.
To headline against Roman Villa in Jersey. Brian Norman got 100,000 to go to San Diego to fight Santillan, so he sacrificed.
Right.
They said Boots, after everything was done, walked away with about 300,000. So last time I checked, that's a $3 million increase.
Right.
What did he do from the Villa fight to the David Avanesian fight, which in all reality is a step backwards, isn't it? Because most people would view David Avanesian
as a lesser fighter
than Roman Villa.
Right.
So he got $3 million increase to fight David Avanesian at home.
Right. And what
but y'all telling me that Brian Norman got pennies, so Boots got pennies then.
Right.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
So they both got pennies before they got millions.
Before they got belts, before they became champions.
Before they became champions, right? Right, Clay?
Yep.
So Boots became a champion after the Villa fight.
Right.
Just like Brian Norman became a champion after he beat Santillan.
And became a full champion via email the same way Brian Norman did once Terrence vacated the belt.
Lee Mancini said Boots is not complaining. Hell no, he ain't complaining because he got $3 million. Why would he be complaining, brother?
And he
what
ain't
are you talking about?
And I think he's trying to say Boots ain't complaining like about this fight not being made. You know what I'm saying? He's saying Boots ain't complaining about
he's saying Boots
situation.
not.
And I think he's not complaining because I'm telling you, man, I think it's very realistic that this is okay with Boots and his team. Like, I think Eddie sold it to him. Eddie told him, listen, and they listened and they bought into it. They're buying into the process.
So what I'm saying is, then they both was getting pennies before they got the M's.
100%.
So Boots got 25,000 more than Brian Norman. If Brian Norman got 100,000, then why did Eddie Hearn see the value in Boots to give him a $3 million increase? So get this, Clay. That means Brian Norman has to pay, before he even steps in the ring with Boots, he has to pay Top Rank more than he made his last fight and Boots made his last fight combined. He has to pay Top Rank $375,000. You combine Boots' check and his check versus Villa and versus Santillan, he got to pay that to Top Rank more than that. Combined, they made what? 225,000. Yeah, he got to pay 375,000.
You talking about it right now. You talking right now. You putting it into perspective. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm telling you, talking about it right now.
But Clay, check this out. They said he walked away Boots with 300,000. Roman Villa got 50,000. That's 350,000 combined.
Right.
For a main event.
Right.
Brian Norman has to pay 375,000 just to Top Rank, just to fight Boots.
Right.
But y'all talking about he made pennies before the last fight. Make this make sense. And again, like I said, and I told Clay this earlier, Charles Martin, Eddie Hearn paid Charles Martin $7 million to fight Anthony Joshua in the UK in a unification after Charles Martin fought Gavdik, right? And Gavdik was winning the fight and broke his leg or tore his ACL, and that's why he lost on the technicality to Charles Martin. Deontay Wilder was ringside. The winner was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder in unification. Eddie Hearn overpaid Charles Martin to secure that belt for Anthony Joshua in the UK. $7 million they paid Charles Martin. You ain't even know who Charles Martin was. Y'all talk about not knowing who Brian Norman is. You had no idea who Charles Martin was. And guess what? Brian Norman dominated Santillan in Santillion's backyard and stopped that man. There was no doubt who was winning the fight. It was so bad that I was saying, man, this ref should have been stopped the fight. What you waiting for? That's how bad he was beating on him. Charles Martin was losing,
Right.
and his opponent injured his leg, and he won on a technicality. And then Eddie Hearn jumped right in and paid Charles Martin $7 million to fight Anthony Joshua in unification. Why he can't pay Brian Norman $300,000 more to fight Boots Ennis in his backyard? The same way he saw how that elevated Anthony Joshua. So why wouldn't it elevate Boots?
100%.
Because Brian Norman is a bigger win. No disrespect, Charles Martin. Brian Norman is a bigger win for Boots than Charles Martin was for Anthony Joshua. So y'all got to relax, man.
Nah, bro, you talking that math, you talking that talk right now. You know what I mean? Like, it makes complete sense for Brian Norman's team's stance on the business approach to this fight. You know what I mean? It makes complete sense on the business stance of it. But like I said, you know what I mean, the social media campaign put a certain, you know what I'm saying, put a certain energy behind it that it doesn't seem like the energy is being matched. But look, the business is the business, you know what I'm saying? The business is the business, you know what I mean? And the talking up of the fight is the talking up of the fight. But when the business don't match the talk,
hold on, Clay. Let me do you one better. Let me do you one better. Did Tank fight Frank Martin in the unification?
Did Tank fight Frank Martin? No, Frank Martin didn't come with nothing.
And Frank Martin' biggest payday was $250,000.
Right, 100%.
Pennies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tank gave him a guaranteed purse of $3 million.
Right. And points, right? On the back end, on the back
side. He ain't back end money.
Yeah. I think he walked away with like damn near 10, right?
Somebody told me 7. So
okay.
But so check this out, right? He made pennies, $250,000.
Right.
He wasn't a champion, never even fought for a world title.
Right.
He got an upscale from Tank in a big fight for non-unification bout. Tank made sure that man got paid.
Right. Right.
We talked about him fighting Shakur. He was going to get 4 times the amount because he made $250,000 and Shakur was offering him $1 million. Right? Now to fight Tank gave him how much?
3 off top.
$3 million. So that's 12 times the amount. And he ain't have no belt. And he ain't sell out no stadiums. And he wasn't nobody's major draw. And Tank fought him in a neutral site.
Right.
He ain't drag him to Baltimore.
No,
a neutral site.
They fought the T-Mobile, baby. No MGM. You know what I'm saying?
Neutral site.
Yeah. That's true. That's a fact, man. But I agree also that Boots ain't Tank, but Boots 500 G's is not like somebody saying double his pay and give him 3 million. You know what I'm saying? Or give him 4 million. 500 G's. That's why I said, man.
So Clay, Tank paid Frank Martin 12 times the amount, and Frank Martin made pennies. Ain't nobody talk about Frank Martin only make pennies, and he wasn't a champion.
Right.
So Frank Martin can make 12 times the amount he's ever made in his career as a non-champion. Boots can have an upscale of $3 million once he became a champion.
Right.
But Brian Norman ain't worth it because you don't know who he is? Man, stop, man. He's a world champion.
Right.
And he only asked for $2 million. But that's still $1 million less than Frank got. And $1 million less than Boots got.
Yeah.
And guess what, Clay? Guess what the kick is? Boots and Tank and Frank and Via, none of them had to pay their promoters to cross the side of the street.
Right.
Nobody had to tack on an extra $375,000 to pay their promoter to cross the side of the street. Adios, grandma.
It's definitely it definitely puts it into perspective, you know what I'm saying, for the Normans. It definitely puts it into perspective. And in the way I've always looked at it, Blue, is the way I definitely looked at it was the Normans were the younger. They didn't have to take this fight. They didn't need this fight. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I emphasized on the social media campaign because it didn't have to be that, right? It was more so, yeah, we didn't plan on doing that. And from what I understand, both teams, the Ennis and the Normans, outside of the Eddie Hearns negotiations, already had kind of agreed that this would be an undisputed title fight if they ever fought, right? So there was already a game plan as to when they were going to fight each other. So they didn't need this fight. They didn't need this fight, but did it make it sound like they wanted it. They made it sound like they wanted it so bad.
And here's the thing, right, Clay? Because Tree and our Dream is saying, yeah, but Tank is the face of boxing. Right. That makes it even worse. Tank don't got to give you nothing. I'm giving you an opportunity. Tank could give you 1.5. He can say, hey, bro, here go 1.5. But Tank said, hey, bro, I need you. I need a dance partner. So here goes the sacrifice. Tank could have said, hey, bro, give him 1.5 and give me the rest of that.
Yeah. 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 Definitely putting this into perspective, but you cooking the show.
Yeah. Tank still took less than he got. His guaranteed purse, from what I was told with the Frank Martin fight, was like $5 million. So again, he could have made that. Tank could have been like, bro, Frank Martin he never did nothing. Give me 6 and give me 6.5 and give him 1.5. That's more than what Shakur was giving him. And I'm putting you on the biggest stage. He didn't do that. Tank made the sacrifice. He overpaid for the dance partner. Again, Ryan Garcia, Clay. Dude ain't never made $1 million before Tank fight. He got a guaranteed purse of $3 million. Again. And back end money, pay-per-view money.
Right. Rumor said he walked away with like 30 million, right? Or something.
30 million. Bro ain't never made $1 million. He jumped up to 30 million.
Right.
The opportunity, bro.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity you create and leverage.
Yeah.
It's not for what you've done in the past. It's for what you can do for me right now and what you can do for me in my future. That's what it's for. That's what people are missing.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue put the Brian, he put the Normans' whole entire position in perspective. He put their whole position into perspective for the space to digest. You know what I mean? And because the reality is the pressure was going to be on Boots to make this fight if Boots wanted this fight. He's the one who initiated the negotiations. He's the one who initiated the interest in unifying the belts. He's the one who initiated everything. The Normans have gotten the pressure, have gotten the blame for not making this fight happen, but they weren't the ones who were trying to make the fight happen.
Not only that, Clay, you came and knocked on my door. I was minding my own business.
Exactly. That's what exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. That Boots was the one who wanted to fight. Right. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you,
it's the same thing. I
can't sit here. Took the role of that when with the social media campaign, it started to look like they wanted to fight. It started to look like that. By the way, they were, we want that fight next. They saying we don't want that fight. We want that fight, man. And then when it went away because of the money, it kind of got switched towards the end. The energy got switched towards the end based on the social media campaign. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Brian Norman Sr. was selling the fight, probably optimistic of the fight being made, maybe trying to get enough attention to the fight that would motivate Eddie Hearn and Boots to, kick in the extra money to make the fight happen. Like, see, we're selling the fight. We're making the fight interesting. So I'm gonna do my role. I'm gonna play my position, and I'm gonna make this fight lit. Y'all ain't selling the fight. Y'all say y'all want the fight, but y'all not willing to give the money, and y'all not even talking back to us on social media. So I'm going to sell it on social media, and I'm going to put it all out there, and let's see if we can motivate you guys to pay the money to make this fight happen. And y'all didn't. But at the end of the day, like you said, the reality of the situation is we were never the ones, we never approached them about a fight. They approached us about a fight.
Exactly, Clay. You came to me. You knocked on my door.
Right.
And now I'm supposed to sacrifice that you knocked on my door? What are you talking about? I got fights right here. I got options right here. I'm still building up. Like everybody's claiming, Clay. Nobody know who Brian Norman. I'm building my rep. I'm building my name up. You came knocking to drag me straight to the top. Not me. You dig me what I'm saying? Brian Norman wasn't talking about fighting Barrios next. He wasn't talking about fighting Stanonis next. Remember, he said that they PBC asked him about fighting Stanonis, and he was like, okay, we'll make it happen. What's the numbers? And they never came back. They were supposed to fight Tio September 27th. In a few weeks, we're supposed to see Tio versus Brian Norman Jr. Top Rank is building him up. He's 23. We talking about nobody knows him. He pricing, bro, is 23 and building his name up, so you do know who he is. He just had his first announcement fight.
Right.
We forget that dude is trying to build his name up. You came knocking. You interrupted his plans. Now he's saying, okay, well, give me X, Y, and Z. That's not hard to understand. If you want me to come off my track and my plan and sacrifice,
right,
then you got to pay me. You got to sacrifice something. It's just any other. It's like any relationship, Clay. Mm-hmm. Every sacrifice. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. You ain't lying.
When you on somebody else's terms of sacrificing, you got to. It's a give and take. One hand wash the other. It's a sacrifice. Hey, right. You want to? I know this. I'm a car lover. Right? I know when I went and get the Range Rover, Range Rover said, okay, you ain't have a luxury car like this? No. It's going to cost you 150, 160,000.
Right.
You got to put at least 20 racks down to leave this parking lot with it.
That's a cost.
And we'll tell you when to come and get it. That's the sacrifice I had to make.
For what you wanted, supposedly.
Right. So imagine me being like this, Clay. Man, no, man. I ain't never had a payment above a Honda Accord. Well, this ain't a Honda Accord now. Now you're dealing in Range Rover. Now you're up here with the big boys. It is what it is.
If you weren't ready to put the 20 grand down, it's fair to say that you didn't want the you didn't want the Range Rover as bad as you thought you wanted it. You thought you wanted it, but you didn't really want it.
There you go, Clay. There you go, Clay.
So you didn't really want it as bad as you thought you wanted it, because I know you didn't think it was gonna be for free.
Because you know why, Clay? You Boots ain't never been unified. You want to be unified, bro. You want to dance with the big boys.
Undisputed, supposedly. You want to be undisputed.
It comes with a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Errol Spence had to sacrifice to make the Terrence Crawford fight. Terrence Crawford had to sacrifice to make the Errol Spence fight.
Yep.
Give you another example, Clay. Sean Porter had to sacrifice to fight Terrence Crawford. He had to cross the other side of the street. He had to be with Top Rank. That was the sacrifice he had to make.
Big facts. Big facts. That's a great example.
Right? There's sacrifices for everything. Tank had to overpay Frank Martin to make the Frank Martin fight happen. Shakur never fought on pay-per-view. Shakur didn't do that, right? But Tank gonna have to pay Shakur a career high payday. He ain't gonna be. You think Tank gonna be? Yeah, you only got pennies in your last fight. No, he gonna have to pay Shakur because he needs the dance partner.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Exactly what I was saying. When you I was saying the same exact thing when I came down and I said this is going to change a little bit on the negotiation process because now Tank has fights that he wants. And when
And
the
I'm
fights
glad you
that he
said
wants,
that.
the fights that he wants changes the value of the fights that so the fighters had a certain value, but once you put I hear him, he getting his money. Once he said, I want to fight you, oh, you want something from me. That cost. That's a whole different conversation than I want something from you. It might change. I think Lomachenko had to kind of like reset the whole entire stage for the Tank Davis team to let him know, like, no, bro, wait. You ain't gonna talk to me like I'm Frank Martin or like Hector Garcia or I'm Ryan Garcia. I'm not those guys. I'm not knocking at your door. You said your to-do list that I was on that list. I'm something you're looking to do. We're gonna negotiate from that foundation. We're not gonna negotiate from the guys who come knocking at your door who want the payday. I'm not really tripping like that. I'm really on my way out the door anyway. You're talking to somebody who's not as interested in this fight than I was 7 years ago. So you got to miss me with all that. I'm doing you a favor talk and start talking to me about, we got to start talking about value that I bring to the table.
And here goes something else, right, Clay?
Mm-hmm.
You deal with women in your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Once you leave those surroundings and you start quote unquote dealing with exotic women now, the cost goes up for what you want. Ultimately, we know what you want. They know what you want, right? Now it's going to cost you. Before it only cost you some Chick-fil-A, a couple of movies, right? Some Michael Kors stuff.
Yep.
Now you done graduated to Birkins, Gucci, right. Louis Vuitton, yep. Because guess what? Her value. Her value. You want to dance, you want to be in there, you want to be with those exotics. It's gonna cost you. You're gonna have to sacrifice.
It's a pay. You gotta pay to play, man.
She ain't going to McDonald's. Clay, she ain't going to McDonald's.
Nope.
My wife ain't going to nobody's McDonald's. My wife she ain't one of those people, but my wife is a solid 9.
Right.
So she, guess what? She ain't going. What, bro? What? and she, my wife don't like the you ain't. I ain't got to buy it. I buy it because I want to.
Right.
Not because she wants it.
But in the process of courting, of you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a certain
I'm
level.
gonna do something.
Right.
I her dream place, Hawaii, took her. Her dream car, her favorite car all time is her Range Rover. I got it. Right. So this is what is going to pay to lay. Period.
100%. 100%.
That's with everything in life.
100%.
When you level up here, right, the cost is going to go up with it. This just is what it is. You
should anticipate it. You should anticipate it already. You shouldn't have to go through it to know it. You should already know going into it what it's going to be, which is why I'm saying.
My point exactly, Clay.
Did these dudes expect to make this happen? Were they ready to move on?
It's just like you said, Clay. You got to pay to play. Yep. It's simple. Simple. So you got to make a sacrifice. And Clay, in my mind, your mind might be like, bro, I ain't tricking on nothing.
Right.
You gonna do something for something, bro.
Big facts.
And even if it's the movies, it may not. The price might not be the same, but you gonna do something. You gonna give something. Believe that.
You're right, man. You're right. But speaking about all this, right, and putting this all in perspective.
Wait, Clay. He made a U-turn.
He know you on this thing. He like, hold up, man. You ain't gonna act like you ain't see me come by, bro.
There's no kids out here, Clay.
My wave neighbors, at him, bro. That's what he wants you to do. He wants you to be like, he wants you to wave at him and say, "What up?"
My neighbor's 2 kids is playing in their yard. They don't never get ice cream. He made a U-turn.
J Pitt City said J Pitt City said, "I told you they the feds. They're trying to stay in range."
Outrageous, bro.
They're trying to stay in range.
Outrageous, Clay. Salute to Fort Greene Pharaoh. Salute. Brooklyn in the building. Brooklyn, stand up. Dropping that Cinco. On the Senate Super Chat. Salute Blue and Clay. In my opinion, everybody want to make Floyd moves without putting in Floyd's work.
Or taking Floyd risk.
Because this is what happens, Fort Greene Pharaoh. This is the thing. And I'm going to say this because I used to say that all the time. And then you know what hit me, Clay?
Mm-hmm.
Floyd made those sacrifices so they don't have to make those sacrifices, so that they can skip the line. That's why he did what he did. He made the sacrifices so that they can skip the line and get paid like they're supposed to get paid from the very beginning instead of having to wait until the back end of their career.
Right.
So that's why, yeah, because I used to say, oh, everybody want to be Money Mayweather, nobody want to be Pretty Boy.
Pretty Boy.
Right? But Floyd, like Floyd said, I should have been getting paid like this when I was Pretty Boy. So he opened up the books to show y'all, you supposed to be getting this from the jump. And these young fighters is getting paid from the jump. They no longer got to wait till they Money Mayweather. They getting their bag as they Pretty Boy Floyd. And we can only do salute them.
I see that trillion dollar dreams is having a real hard time with this, right? And I see what he's saying. Like, he's talking about 190K to 1.7 million, right? But this is why I agree with what Blue is saying, right? This is an era of boxing where champions have been desensitized. You guys have become desensitized to the value of being a champion. So we're coming from an era where you don't care about the belts no more. For you, it's about what you made last time, what you're worth. It don't matter how much accolades you've gained. It matters about how much you're worth, how much you brought in at one point in time or another. And Terrence Crawford was one of those fighters who kind of like brought this back, right? He made this an issue again. When he was negotiating with Errol Spence, everybody tried to be like, Errol has done this, filled up stadiums, done all these things. And Terrence's whole stance was, yeah, but I'm the WBO champion. He wants to become undisputed. It's going to cost him money. What are you talking about? What have you brought to the table? This, that, and the other. Terrence was like, well, that's fine. We won't fight then. I'll go do a David Avenesian fight, and I'm perfectly ready to be a one-time undisputed champion, something that Errol Spence isn't, and we can move on. And then Errol said, hold up, bro. I do want to become undisputed. And what did you see happen? You saw Terrence Crawford make a whole bunch of money that a lot of the boxing space said he didn't deserve. People threw shots at Errol for doing that. Like, man, he played himself doing that. It's because the title does hold value. Somebody who wants the title, if you want something somebody has, what they have has value. It is what it is. If I want something for you that you have, it's valuable to me. It could be not valuable to nobody else in the world, but the fact that I want it makes it valuable to me, and I should be ready to pay for something that I want. Now, if I don't pay for it, it's going to show that I really didn't want it that bad. It's just going to be what it is. I could have thought I wanted it going into the store. I could have thought I wanted it, but then I saw the price tag and decided I really didn't want it as bad as I thought I wanted. And I'm walking up out of here and heading to the Macy's to go get me a polo. You know what I'm saying? for tonight. I'm going to go do it like that because I didn't know it was going to cost that much. I'm not trying to pay for it that bad. Then that's what this comes down to. Brian Norman Jr. has something that supposedly that Boots wants. There's a price point on it. Boots is not willing to pay that much. Boots doesn't want it that bad. That's it. That's it.
Exactly, bro.
You can paint it however you want to paint it. You can try to make Brian Norman look stupid as hell for moving the way he did. Maybe he will regret it in the future. Maybe who knows what his future holds. Maybe he doesn't make as much money as he was going to make right now. We don't know, but that's not the point. The point is Boots' position, because Boots was the one who was initiating. His team was the one who was initiating an offer to make a fight happen. And they said they wanted this, and this was the reason why they were in the division. Well, when it came down to spend the price, when they went into the store and the owner of the store told them how much they were selling that item for, they tried to convince the store owner to sell it for less than they had it up on the shelf for it. And the store owner walked away like, nah, I'm straight, man. This is how much I'm selling it for. Now everybody yelling at the store owner saying, it's not even worth that much, man. You playing games. And they're like, all right, but do that while you're walking out the store, though, because it's going to stay on my shelf until you pay the price that I have it on the shelf for. You're not leaving with this.
It goes back to this, right? It goes back to what I say, Clay. It's called leverage.
Yeah.
Clay, okay, there's 10 Bugattis in the world, right? 9 of them get sold. How much you think the last one go for? You think it's gonna be the same price as the other 9?
No way, there's no more.
It's gonna go
more.
up.
There's the last one.
Right. Mario Barrios don't want to play. Stanonis don't want to play. You want to be undisputed. You knocking on the youngest champion's door in the division, right? You want me to come to your side of the street and have to pay my promoter. You want me to sacrifice. Pay me. Well, you only was worth, okay, well, you need, like you said, Clay, then you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. Simple. And this is not rocket science. It's simple. Then you don't want to do it. It's just that simple. We trying to make Brian Norman the bad guy because we need a fall guy.
Because why the fight didn't happen.
Exactly. Instead of holding the person accountable, like I said with Tank, Boots and his team dropped the ball on creating him the leverage. That's it. That's all. They dropped the ball on $300,000, and then he goes to a purse bid today and loses $300,000. So now check this out, Clay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna put it in an even deeper perspective. Now you sacrifice your dream of being undisputed for $300,000 measly dollars. Make that make sense?
Yeah.
Because now you go to 54, you ain't never gonna be undisputed at 147.
Facts.
Now, your dream of being undisputed at 147 got thrown out the window for $300,000. Make that make sense.
We want
make
it.
Make sense.
You're right, man.
On top of that, Clay.
What is Straight Gate saying?
On Clay, on top of that, you had the advantage of dragging this man to your backyard and doing it in front of your people.
Facts.
Let me ask you a question, Clay. Who you know for the unification bout in recent time in their backyard?
Nobody. Hold on, let me think. Wasn't Terrence. Wasn't even Usyk and Tyson Fury. It's not going to be better even Bivol. I can't think of nobody.
I don't know. Was it Inoue?
Oh, Japan. Yes. Inoue.
It was Inoue. But was that actually in his backyard or just in his country?
I mean, that's his backyard. His whole country's his backyard.
Yeah, I gather. Yeah.
Right? Wherever it is at. In Japan, if it's in Japan, it's Inoue's backyard.
Errol didn't unify in his backyard. He beat Sean Porter in Vegas. No, in LA. He beat Kell Brook in the UK. And he beat he did. He beat Ugas in Texas.
In Texas. Yeah.
But by the time he beat Ugas in Texas, he was already established.
Right.
And can call the shots.
100%.
He wasn't on the same playing field as everybody else. And Ugas wasn't a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So he fought Ugas there after he beat Sean Porter, after he went to the UK, beat Kell Brook, after he had beat Mikey Garcia. He had marquee fights.
Yeah.
By the time he did that. And he was the big fish. As a matter of fact, in all reality, Errol Spence was the biggest draw in boxing, not named Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua.
At that time.
His numbers is bigger than Tank's. Tank only fight that he has bigger than Errol is the Ryan Garcia fight. Errol did 350,000 with Mikey Garcia, 300 and a quarter with Sean Porter. Later, big boy. 315 with Danny Garcia, and then 315 with Ugas.
Yeah,
Up until the Ryan Garcia fight, Tank's biggest pay-per-view was 250 with Rolly. And he didn't do that after Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, Mr. Boxing Fanatic said, wow, so Boots to blame for Brian overpricing himself. He's not to blame for Brian overpricing himself. He's to blame for not making the fight happen.
I don't even entertain him. We can't even entertain him, man. He just
right.
Disagree. He just
it's not about he can't control the pricing, but he controlled the fight. The fight was there to be made for him. It was up to him to make the fight happen. The fight wasn't there to be made with Mario Barrios or Stanonis. It was there to be made with Brian Norman. It was an opportunity for him to make up his mind as to whether or not he was going to do it or not do it, and he chose not to do it. Sorry. It's the truth. It's the truth. And I'm telling you, Blue will tell you when I was talking to him, I've been talking to him today about this situation. I'm telling you, I hold Brian Norman.
Louis Melendez. See, this is the foolishness I talked about.
What'd he say?
He says that Blue is the most biased influencer ever. He has a relationship with Brian Norman. I have a relationship with Boots. Goodbye. Go sit at the kiddie table. I talked on the phone with Bozy twice already.
I thought Louis Melendez was on your side. I guess not, huh?
No. Go sit at the kiddie table.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's not. I'm looking at his son. He hasn't.
Yeah. I have a relationship with Brian Norman. And I have a relationship with Boots as well.
Right.
It's something I would tell Bozy. What are you talking about? It has nothing to do with, I'm not speaking against Boots. I'm saying that I'm speaking for Boots. It's an opportunity for him to build his legacy. Right. I said that Eddie Hearn is doing him a disservice and stopping him from building his legacy and giving him the leverage to be able to do what he needs to do and accomplish his goals at 147 and moving forward. So what are you talking about? Always coming to disagree. From now on, I'm just going to send you to the kiddie table immediately.
Yeah. And I'm going to be real with you. I'm telling you, I disagree with Eddie Hearn taking the blame on this one. I think this is a team effort. I think they're all on the same page, bro. I think they've been talked about this, and I think they're on the same page. I think Eddie Hearn and Boots is on the same page about what this was going to look like if this turned into this. They knew. They were like, if this gets too far, we're going to 154. I think it went too far. You know what I mean? I think Boots is okay with Eddie's movement. I think he's okay with Eddie's movement. I think this had to be spoken about, bro.
And that's why I disagree, because I think Boots is just quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
is he quietly nodding his head up and down though when Eddie's telling him about doing these situations? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think it's just a situation where Boots is like, he not interested in the business, just interested in getting the fights done. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's like, I think that Boots just goes from the standpoint of like Tank did with Floyd. It's like, this ain't happening. All right, well, let's fight this guy. You know what I'm saying?
What's the next move, Eddie?
What's the next move? Right. Like, I don't think
Mike.
Right. And so that's my thing, right? You know, that's my thing, right? That's why I said, like, I wish that Boots is more vocal and more involved and just look at the situation and be like, hey, bro, hold on. Bro, let's sacrifice so I can get this belt, because it's for your legacy.
Right.
See, this is what, and again, and this is no knock on Brian Norman seeing. They know I got love for him. What I'm saying is, you know, for in Boots' situation, right, to achieve what everybody believe he can achieve, he needs these opportunities.
Right.
And we can't have $300,000 standing in the way of these opportunities. That makes no sense.
Right.
Because now they're going to make you sacrifice when you go to 154, and they're going to hold it against you at 154 now.
Yeah.
Because, hey, what do you bring to the table? You dig what I'm saying? We already know the politic games. They're gonna be like, bro, what you bring to the table? Imagine Jermell Charlo come back and they like, hey, we want to make a fight with Boots. How much you think they're gonna pay him to fight Jermell Charlo? He ain't bending.
Yeah, Jamal gonna be the A side.
Yeah, and all of them are. Ain't nobody can see, bro. First of all, you Johnny come lately. You new to this division. Second of all, you ain't never unified title and you never be the world champion for their title.
Right.
So you trying to get an Errol Spence fight. What makes you think Errol Spence won't fight him?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
Tim Tszyu, Fundora. For what? He gonna have to feed off the dudes at the bottom, like Brian Castano, if they want to do it. Castano, guys in position that challenging for titles like Lubin.
Right. Ramos.
Right. And if I'm Lubin, bro, if you Lubin, what do you okay, you still a B-side to Lubin at 154?
I don't know about that. But...
Oh, for sure. Lubin is a title contender and he been in big fights.
Well, who's paying the bill?
Lubin just beat, don't forget, Lubin just beat Jesus Ramos.
Who paying the bill though?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So if you Lubin, he gonna be like, who paying this bill?
Turkey
gonna have to pay the bill.
But
then Al gonna be like, Lubin, you best to get paid. You going over there?
Right.
You think Al gonna let Lubin go out, lose his position as a title contender to fight Boots in Saudi on Riyadh season for to be a B-side?
Right.
No, sir. Al ain't trying to hear that.
It's gonna be interesting to see how 154 looks with Boots. How it works out. It's gonna be interesting.
Right. Al ain't trying to hear that. You feel me?
Yeah.
Where Boots can fight Tim Tszyu? Make himself the mandatory. You understand what I'm saying? Leverage. 100%. I mean, with Lubin got leverage.
Right. And Tim will fight him too, because Tim don't care who it is.
But not only that, you got to think about this. Tim Tszyu is getting ready to fight Bakram Matalia for the IBF title. Right? The winner of that fight if Terrence Crawford fight Fundora in December, the winner of Bakram Matalia with Tim Tszyu gonna want to fight the winner of that fight sometime next year. They ain't thinking about Boots.
Right.
Even if he's the mandatory, he's still gonna have to wait.
Right.
So guess what, Clay? Guess where he ends up? Right back in the same position. Because if Fundora, if let's say Terrence Crawford beats Fundora, he holds 3 belts now, right? WBA, WBC, WBO, right?
WBO. Mm-hmm.
He fights, let's say Tim Tszyu beats Bakram Matalia. Let's just go with the 2 favorites. Tim Tszyu beats Bakram Matalia, right?
Right.
Terrence Crawford fights Tim Tszyu. Terrence Crawford beats Tim Tszyu. Do you think Terrence Crawford is fighting Jaron Ennis?
Hell no, not without Jaron Ennis having a belt.
Bro, he ain't gonna he can't have no belt because Bud got them all.
Jaron ain't getting no fight against Terrence Crawford without getting in Terrence Crawford's way.
But check it out.
In his way. That's it.
Check it out. Now Bud gonna vacate the belts. Guess what you? Yeah. If he beats Fundora and then Tim Tszyu, he's undisputed. Right. He's leaving.
Right.
Okay, so he vacates the belts, right? Guess where you back at, Clay? Purse bid.
Yep.
If you're the mandatory, let's say against Jermell Charlo.
The money.
Who you think winning that purse bid?
No more millions and millions of dollars.
Who you think winning the purse bid? Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo's the interim champion.
Yeah, Jermell's the super A side. Jermell gonna win all the talk. There's no reason to even argue with Jermell. Like he's gonna be the A side.
He's gonna be the A side, and then on top of that, right, Clay? Now you got to think about this. On top of that, now you got Errol Spence in the mix. Where you think you think that at some point Boots is gonna leapfrog Errol in any place? No.
Only one way over Errol, and that's through Errol. You're going to have to beat Errol to get over Errol.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And if you Eddie Hearn, are you risking putting Majamov in there with Boots?
Might have to.
Yeah, but now you're losing the opportunity, right? You
Right.
eliminating your own self. You
Somebody getting hurt. Somebody getting pushed out the picture.
now you bidding against yourself.
Somebody getting pushed out the picture.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, man.
This is a big messy situation, ain't it, Blue? This is an upside down messy situation.
This is what I'm trying to say. Like this, that's what I'm saying. The sacrifice had to be right now, bro. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't care what people say about Brian Norman not worth this, pennies that. That's pointless.
Yeah,
that's
this was
pointless.
it.
The point was for Boots to get the opportunity to unify the belt, and he gets the opportunity to do it at home and make a statement. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
Salute to Eric Dunn, brother, in the super chat, dropping that cinco on your boy Blue. He said, Blue, you my man, 100 grand, but I respectfully disagree. Boxing is still a business, and your value determines what you are paid. No, your value determines what you negotiate.
Right. Or what you negotiate is what your value is.
Is what your value is, right.
Right. And Norman brings something to the table that, listen, man, Boots either wanted it, or if he wanted it.
But Clay, it goes
a
back
price.
to Clay, we just deal in facts. We got to deal with facts over feelings.
Right.
Jaron Ennis got 125,000 to fight via.
Right.
Then jump from 125,000 to 3 million. That don't add up. Going by your method, you said your value. Then how did he jump from 125,000 to 3.3 million?
Right.
Make it make sense. It's what you negotiate.
Right.
It's what your potential is, and what they think you worth, what they want to pay you, what you can negotiate. Period. Yeah. Hacks, brother in the super chat, dropping that cinco on us in the super chat. AJ and Tank are cash cows. Boots isn't. Their opponents will always be paid much more. No. Again, AJ wasn't a cash cow yet when he fought Charles Martin. No, he was not. He blossomed into that afterwards. Period. And if you want to get to the cash cow status, you got to sacrifice to get there. That's how it works. Ramses X, brother in the super chat, dropping that half a dub on us in the super chat. Bro, Blue, the fanboys fools always counting somebody else's pockets, demanding fighters to take risks that none of these keyboard warriors would be willing to do because none of them have been in the ring. Yeah, but that's why I like to translate it, Ramses X, into real life situations. That's why I gave the scenario and the example of if you worked at McDonald's while you are in med school. Once you graduate med school, when you go to get a job, do they tell you based off of your last job you was working at McDonald's, you was only making $20 an hour? Yeah, I was making $20 an hour because I wasn't in med school. I wasn't a physician. Now I'm a physician. Now I demand to be paid like a physician. We have the same examples. When Boots was before he was the world champion, he got 125,000. They said he maxed out at 3,000 with the back end money, right? Okay, 300,000. Once he became official champion, he got elevated to what? 3 million, because now he graduated med school. Now he's a physician. And the same goes for Brian Norman Jr. Y'all just can't identify with Brian Norman Jr. because you're not hardcore boxing fans. So people don't know who he is, don't know what he about. Brian Norman was being frozen out. Brian Norman was putting in work in these sparring sessions. Everybody knew who he was. Ask Tank and Terrence Crawford. He was being frozen out. But now he got in a position where he's announced himself and now building something. Now they want to derail it. You got to pay him. Big Hearn, brother in the super chat. He said, what if Boots jumps to 160, fights quickly? 160? Ain't really nothing at 160, man. Because I don't even Jamal Charlo is his situation is nasty.
Yeah, Jamal Charlo out of here, bro. He not part of the boxing right now. He got to deal with. That's a whole nother conversation with him.
Yeah, he like he going to jail, ain't he?
Yeah, he got some law. He got to deal with it. He got to focus that energy and focus that money towards them lawyers and get himself out that situation. However, that's going to look because it's not looking good. Hit and run, all types of, you know what I mean? Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's nasty work, bro. But Lloyd Clay, what you think about Tank's team? Obviously, we know they said that Shakur in protective
Protective
custody.
custody. I don't know. I think it's I mean, even with the way you just said it, right? Like Tank's team feels like he's in protective custody. Are we basing this based off of what Kenny said?
Yeah.
So does the team feel that way? Does Tank feel that way?
And this is the reason why I put it the way I put it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because if he ain't telling them to be quiet, I'm assuming he feel that way too. Because when he don't agree with something, he let us know he don't agree with it.
That's a fact.
So that's the only reason I put it that way.
I mean, the question is going to be, you know what my question is going to be? Did you send the offer? What was said in that conversation makes the biggest difference in the world. But one way or the other, man, Shakur is well within his right to move with his career the way he sees fit, right? Like, I mean, if there's a whole lot of money that's on the table for him with these next two fights, and he can build up his not only build up his market value, but also build up his bank account. And Tank ain't ready for him right now. Tank ain't ready to say, let's make this fight happen right now. Then he has every right to move in the direction that's going to get him some bread and make Tank wait for a minute. Like, even if Tank wants to make the fight, let's say, early next year, it's like, all right, well, you just kind of got to wait after February. You know what I'm saying? You got to wait after means of pay to do it, and we can talk about it next May. You know what I'm saying? Next May, June, or April, May, June, we can get into that conversation and make some things happen. But you want to fight with me just as much as I want to fight with you. So I'll be done. It's a 2-year. It's a 2-year. It's a 2-fight deal. We're supposed to be knocking it out back to back. Everybody knows what I'm trying to do. It is what it is. People just sometimes don't respect other people's time. They don't take they don't respect their schedule of things that they're trying to get done, the money they're trying to make. If you're not ready for me right now, naturally, I'm going to jump into my next opportunity. I have a bunch of opportunities on the table and options on the table. Why shouldn't I be able to exhaust all of them the same way you're going to exhaust all your options before you make a decision as to when we're going to fight? What do I think of it? I think that there's no offer on the table, then we're not in the negotiations for any fight, then I'm free to do what I want to do. That's it. I don't know what Kenny means when he says that, when he says, oh, he went in protective custody. I don't know. I thought that was pretty convenient to say. I need to know the particulars of how that conversation over the phone went, a conversation that didn't involve them, from my understanding, that involved other people. So what happened? What was agreed upon? Did Shakur deviate from a plan that was put out on how they were going to approach this rollout? Or is he even aware of a plan that was come up with that came to fruition for how this was going to roll out? Did he even do that? I don't know. We need to hear all that before I can pull my opinion on it and say something negative towards how anybody's moving in the situation. And once again, I've only heard from Kenny, so I don't know. I haven't heard from Tank, and that's a person we're always wanting to hear from, and we never get to hear from. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just ridiculous to say like he's pricing himself out.
Which one? We talking about Norman right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No, I'm talking about the situation with Tank and Shakur.
Yeah, he didn't price himself out. They're trying to say that?
Well, just saying he's in protective custody is like,
right. Ain't no protective custody because you can always reach out and make the fight happen.
Right.
There's always you deciding for yourself that Eddie Hearn is not somebody you're going to do business with. You cannot dictate who Shakur does business with. These conversations get weird to me because it's like, yo, you shouldn't be working with that dude because Tank don't like that dude. What are you talking about, man? I'm doing business out here, bro. There's other business going on outside of Tank, bro. I'm not going to deviate from me being successful, from what I think is a successful idea for me and my team to make as much money because you don't like somebody over here, that's not my problem. You gotta I'm Haitian. The old folks got a saying. I won't say it in Creole. I'll just translate it directly in English and say, sometimes you gotta cover your nose and drink the stinky water. You know what I'm saying? For what you want. You got to be willing to do that. Like your team, you ain't got to work with Eddie, but your team will work with my team if they want to make a fight. If they want to make a fight, your team and my team will work together to make the fight. Ain't no sit my ass where you want me to sit my ass so that we can get into a fight. It ain't not especially when you're saying I'm somebody you want to fight.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's especially when that happens. Now, if I'm out here with my hand out talking about I want to do this and I want to do that, then I'm going to ask for instructions on what I need to do to get that done. But if we're both coming to the table saying that we want to fight each other, then, bro, your team will do what your team is supposed to do, and I will instruct my team to do what they're supposed to do so that we're both coming off, you know what I mean? So that I'm getting what I want and you getting what you want. That's it.
Right. Let's put the link in the chat, get some folks on.
Yeah. Did you watch any fights this weekend?
I rewatched it. I didn't watch it live. And the I had to rewatch the anyway fight from this morning. Wild part is I got up early, right?
Me too.
And forgot why I got up early.
I got up and thought I missed the fight because I got up about like 7:30ish. And I was like, oh man, that fight happened at 5:45. And I was like, no, the event started at 5:45. So I checked, I woke up right on time. Right when I woke up, Anyway was coming out to the when I went to ESPN Plus, Anyway was walking right out there. What's up, Ray?
What up, yo? I'm at the barbershop with the kids. I'm over here with Truth, Clay. Look, I'm over here with Truth right now. Look.
Jose, let's go, fam.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I ain't getting shaped up. The kids are.
Yeah,
but you gotta get them right. I school them all.
Start Thursday.
Oh, Thursday, yeah. Mine's just going back tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, man. I'm listening to all the talks, man. There's so much to talk about. It's this boxing game is just becoming so casual, bro. Like I said, it's too many people just trying to make conversations over nothing. And none of this stuff means anything at the end of the day. All we hear is the same thing. We hear about this person ducking or this person not being able to do this. I just heard what you said about Shakur, Blue, and Clay. What are we talking about? If I'm not mistaken, and I don't care how the Tank fans take it, you know what I mean? I have nothing against Tank or his team, but somebody really loud. But
Eric, I got to mute you because your background is bad, great brother.
But yeah, man. If we listen to what happened, I mean, they had a face-to-face conversation, Shakur and Coach Kenny. And what did he say? He wanted him to wait till March. He said, "You're not in the plans right now." So if the man told him he wasn't in the plans, why is everybody uptight over it? That means that they already had their plans worked out and they already had their situations going, right? And then, if I'm not mistaken, we had another situation. What? He told him he was not in the plans right now. He said Loma's in the plans. He told him Loma's in the plans right now because he brings somebody to the fight. He brings something to the fight. Shakur brings nothing to the fight. He told him he could wait till March. And Shakur told him and countered that and said, "What do you mean wait till March? You trying to wait me out?" He said, "Nah, I ain't doing that. I'm staying active." That's what he said. That's word for word. Now we're gonna go further than that when Coach Kenny and Coach Calvin was there, and they both said that they want Pitbull after they couldn't get the Loma fight. They said they didn't want to fight Shakur right now. Shakur's not in the plans. They said it again. They backed it up. And that was both of them.
And to double down on that real quick, Ray, what you said. Remember, Coach Calvin said, "What's the point in fighting Shakur right now when we pulling from the same pool of fans?" He said,
"Thank you."
Loma
exactly.
is a different pool of fans. But go ahead, Ray.
No, you're right, and that's exactly what he said. And he was like, "Go ahead, man." Because
hold on. Just let him finish cooking. Then we go one at a time, bro.
Yeah, so he went from there to saying that Pitbull's next. Then Pitbull blew the bag. They still never mentioned Shakur in the fight. After that, they didn't say Shakur was ducking, running, or anything. And at the end of the day, we never heard Tank say any of this. Tank was on record of tweeting almost a year ago, telling everybody what he said. If I ain't say it, that don't mean anything. Y'all need to stop talking for me. Y'all need to shut up. And he was talking to his coaches and all the people out there that run the channels that keep talking about him. Y'all just don't even understand that. Now, like I said, I have nothing against Tank Davis. I have nothing against his team. But I listen to boxing because I'm a boxing fan first. And I put all boxing fans. And y'all know, Clay, you know, Blue, you know, I'm not even a Shakur fan. You know what I mean? I rock down the middle with it, and I'm telling you exactly what happened. And I'm not taking up for nobody. I'm telling you the facts that took place. The other thing is, y'all keep listening to, why did Shakur keep talking? Why Shakur say all this? Doesn't matter. He's a boxer. That's what he's supposed to do. That dude ain't do nothing wrong. He did what he's supposed to. He tried to make the fight. The fight didn't happen. It didn't marinate. So he said, you know what? It ain't marinating. I'm moving forward, and that's it. I'm done. Go ahead. You can have it, Eric.
What's going on? You can hear me
Hold on,
good?
let me holler at Blue.
Go
I
ahead,
had to
great
jump
brother.
off real quick. Blue, bro, what's our issue, bro?
This is what you do, right? Every time I come on, you disagree, and I'm cool with that. But
But that's
then
that's the
you
whole part about the
yeah, no,
situation,
no,
though,
and
bro. We
like I
supposed to
said, I'm cool with
disagree.
that, right? But this is what you're doing, right? Like the other day, you came in the chat and you're saying, well, you said in this video this, and this, as if I'm making up stories, right? When I said
No,
about
bro.
Tank fight, when I said about Tank and Ryo, right? When I
See,
said
that's
when
why
I
I
made
said,
the video, when I made the video about Tank and Ryo, right? You said Blue, you made a video, right, saying that Ryo and Tank is in negotiations, which is all true. All you have to do is listen to my video and listen to what Robert Garcia said, right?
with you.
Huh?
I'm agreeing with you.
Right. So, but you said that, but you was making it as if I'm saying this, and then Robert Garcia is saying opposite, which is cool. But if you listen to what Robert Garcia said compared to what I said, then it's clear you can see that Robert Garcia was contradicting himself.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But you, before I can even get to that point, bro, you tying me out. So I don't know. Like I said, a lot of shit be getting took like out the way. So I said, like, anytime you don't drop your link, bro, I'll come up here and chop it up with you, bro. It ain't never been no disrespectful
But
shit coming out my.
and guess what, great brother? Then I could stand corrected and I apologize.
Yeah, bro. I'm saying I'm like, bro,
So,
I always have respect for dog. Only topic we never agree on is the tank situation. That's only any other topic, bro. I normally agree with you.
and I stand corrected and I apologize, great brother.
Salute, bro. I'm about to get back to work, y'all. I'll let
Yeah,
y'all know, bro. I'm still.
for sure, for sure.
All right.
All right, Eric, go ahead, great brother.
What's going on with y'all, man? Hope y'all
Oh,
doing well.
hold on, man. I got my bro in the building. He made a cameo on me.
I've never
AK
seen him
Crowder in
before.
the
Salute,
building.
AK Crowder for sure.
What's the deal, fella? What's the deal?
What's
Salute,
shaking?
family. Good to put a
Man,
face to the name, man. You always support, man. I
That's
appreciate you,
my
brother.
brother
Thank
you
you,
right
man.
there,
already know,
man.
Clay. I'm with you, baby. It's like I'm with my boy Blue. Ain't no
That's my
deal.
brother.
Man, I
Go
just
ahead,
wanted to tap in and let you know I'm on location.
for
And
sure,
everything's
for sure,
everything. You know,
for sure.
we all got a link, but y'all do y'all thing. I'm here supporting. I'm
Yeah.
still at work.
All
I'm
right,
at work cleaning up these schools. I'm a custodian at high school, so
All right.
salute.
yes,
That's my
sir.
Salute,
brother
AK
right
Crowder.
there.
Thank you
Salute.
again, man. I appreciate you, family.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Claymore all the time. You know it.
Yes, sir. My bro.
Yeah, that is the dude. He always supporting, bro.
Yeah,
That's the first time I ever seen his face.
yeah,
Always.
that's my bro right there for real in real life, man.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, Eric. What you were saying?
Oh, you can hear me good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Hey, wait, Eric, where you at, man? That joint looking spiffy back there, bro.
Hey,
Yeah, you got a whole situation. What's going on up in there,
Yeah.
man?
this the man cave, man. I got 365s behind me. I got 165 in front. Got the ball
Woo.
over here. All the fight parties go down over here.
Oh man, bro.
Salute.
All of
That's
And
a
guess
good
what?
look. Hey, I'm
And
about to
get
go in the house and be like, listen, I'm trying to get mines like Eric, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to blame it all on you.
Eric ain't sending out them invitations, man. I
Word
ain't never
up.
get an invitation. He ain't sending out
hey,
them invitations.
if you ever find yourself in St. Louis, just know you more than welcome.
Oh,
No
say
doubt,
less.
no doubt.
Say
Who?
less.
East St. Louis or regular St. Louis, Missouri?
St. Louis, we ain't doing no East St. Louis now. Hold
Okay,
on now.
okay, okay.
He said, hold
Hold
That's
on
what I
on
had
now.
to.
now. Hold on
I
now.
had to ask.
Hey, and check this out. I'm in the county. I'm in the county, deep
Okay.
in the county. So,
Yeah. He said,
yo, but
Talk about it.
what I was saying, man, it's hard to articulate yourself properly when you only got 200 some characters, right?
right.
And you know it's all love, bro. You know we could disagree as boxing fans.
For sure.
That's how I feel about it. Where I'm at with it is a lot of the same points that you made for Eddie Hearn and the Boots team to take the chance and let's do this for legacy. Let's do this for this. I feel like a lot of that apply to Brian Norman Jr. And I think my frustration really stems from ultimately is we got a lot of cats not fighting. Like Amanta Stanonis, this is the same guy who had to fly back home and sleep on his mother's couch, but you turning your nose up to this type of money. I understand you have a belt. I understand as you accomplish more, you should get more. But at the same time, we don't need no more King Kong Ortiz turning down $7 million to fight AJ, and now you ain't never made that type of money ever again in your career. Brian Norman Jr. truly should have took that offer. I mean, and to me personally, this talking about, I think he was on the Boxing Voice. Shout out to them. And he was talking about breaking down what the promoters would get after taxes and all this other nonsense. We've never talked about that before in boxing, and I don't want to hear that now. I'm a fight fan here to see fights. Listen, man, you got to get this. You got to get in the ring with this guy. We really don't even need this many damn belts in boxing, period. If Turkey really want to do something, I think that's the route he needs to go. He needs to go, and we need to get undisputed all these divisions. So we'll really see who the man is. But man, nah. Brian Norman Jr. should have took that, just like Emmanuel Stanonis should have took that. Mario Barrios, I haven't really looked into that situation all that much, so I can't really speak on that one. But that's my thoughts on that. At some point, man, Jaron Boots Ennis got that deal from Eddie Hearn making whatever he's making because Eddie Hearn saw the value in Jaron Boots Ennis, or a few potential values, so to speak. If your own promoter ain't willing to pay you that, what the hell makes you think Eddie Hearn is willing to pay you that? That's where I'm at with it. I'm not necessarily, well, I am blaming. I'm gonna get off the fence. I am blaming Brian Norman Jr. But at the same time, you are correct. $300,000, yeah, they probably should have made that. If it's about Boots' legacy, if it's about his legacy,
right? And so my stance was this, right? Is that the reason Brian Norman and Senior broke it down is because everybody is saying he should have just took it because we're looking at the overall number.
right?
But the thing we have to understand is this: if it was on the same side of the street, we could say take the offer. The thing is, in order for Brian Norman to even fight Boots, he has to pay Bob Arum Top Rank $375,000 just to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I got to sacrifice to leave my promoter. You ain't leaving nothing.
Right.
Then you want me to fight you when you want me to fight me, where you want me to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And on top of that, you came knocking at my door. I didn't look for you. You was looking for me. I'm 23 years old, building myself up. You 27, already looking to be undisputed. Our goals are different.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you want me to uproot myself, sacrifice to come to where you at, you're going to have to make a sacrifice for me. I'm not fighting the big bad wolf on the block and the best fight in my division and walk home with $800,000 or less in a unification bout when you have not done much more than I have done. That's where the difference lies.
That's the truth.
Right?
Boots is not Boots.
If this was Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford saying, bro, I'm giving you 1.7, and here's the thing, they're gonna give you 1.7 to fight you at a neutral site.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to take 1.7 to fight you in your backyard, and to do so, I gotta pay you to come fight you. Make this make sense? You the A side. I gotta pay to fight you. Keep this in mind. I also have to pay 6% to the sanction bodies. I gotta pay for your belt and mine.
That is correct.
Right? Then I have to pay 10% to my manager. That's $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 650,000 in the hole before I even come to fight you. So I'm already under $1 million because I got to sacrifice to come fight you. That's why those numbers was explained to us. That's why we was made privy to it, because people are making a mistake that it's an overall number. I'm already starting behind the 8 ball just to come and fight you. Where now you the A side, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you sacrificing in here? Nothing. You're not leaving the comfort of your home. You're not having to pay taxes to your promoter. So you in a win-win situation. And guess what? I'm also helping you. I'm helping you avoid the fight that you don't want to fight with your IBF mandatory and Karen Chuga.
You ain't never gonna get that right.
Hey,
If you
I ain't
don't,
never gonna get it right.
You don't
never gonna get that right.
He ain't never gonna get it right.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna say it one more time.
I don't think I've ever heard Blue say that man's last name 2 times in a row.
Never.
Every time. I haven't heard not one. That last one, that was diabolical. That last one was diabolical, bro. But go ahead.
Are you saying right?
Karen Cougar jogging.
Cougar jogging.
It don't matter. We ain't saying that. We ain't saying it right, no matter what you say.
So now you don't want to fight Karen Chuga. Dang.
I tried to tell you.
You don't want to fight Karen. I'm just gonna call him
Karen. We know who we talking exactly. Karen.
You know I'm gonna call him KC. You don't want to fight KC. Yeah. You don't want to fight KC, right? So I'm going to assist you in not fighting KC as well. So I'm helping you out. I'm giving you a belt opportunity to unify. You never did that. You want to do. I'm shortening the route. I'm willing to come to your backyard. I'm not asking you for 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing any of those things. The only thing I'm asking for is, bro, help me out. Make sure I walk home with a meal after all my sacrifices. That's all I'm asking for. And that's a problem. He only asked for one thing: to be compensated and make sure I walk home with a meal for this fight.
No, but Blue, this is where I'm at with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter in boxing, no matter how big or small the A side is, in most fights, there's pretty much always an A side and a B side.
Oh, for sure. But the A side sacrifices.
Absolutely.
They're gonna make some sort of sacrifice. What sacrifice is Boots making?
Getting you your highest purse that you done got. Also giving you the same opportunity to chase legacy.
Yeah, but
unify.
Yeah, but you gotta think about it. I'm 23 and building up my status. I didn't ask for this. You asking for this. I'm young. I'm young, and it's like Tank at 23.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this: when Floyd beat Canelo, keep this in mind. Floyd beat Canelo.
Right.
Canelo had unification bout, 40 fights, and 5 title defenses, and we say he was too green because he was 23.
No.
No,
Canelo was not too green.
But this is what I'm saying. But I'm saying the narrative was he was too green at that gesture of his career. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got to keep this in mind. When fighters become world champions outside of Wilfred Benitez at 17, 21 years of age, we celebrate. Man, look how young he is. Brian Norman just got his first opportunity. And he was the underdog in that opportunity. So he's going to be the underdog his entire career. He can't demand nothing.
No. Make your demands, but at the same time.
But that's the only demand he's making because he was the underdog and he had to go to. He already did that. I already sacrificed. How many times I got to sacrifice? I just went to Santilion's backyard in San Diego on the undercard. I was the underdog. They clearly was favoring him to win. Mm-hmm. I had no say so.
Mm-hmm.
I beat the brakes off him and stopped him. Then my company said, okay, let's see if that was a fluke. You fight Teofimo Lopez. See, this is what gets misunderstood. He was going to fight Teofimo Lopez September 27th.
Right.
And he was going to kill Teofimo.
Right.
He was going to kill him.
Right, but he has options. He's just building up at 23. Mm-hmm. Now, Boots come knocking at his door because like Floyd said with Loma, you in a rush. You don't have time. I'm just 23. I'm just starting at this division. You in a rush to get these belts before you leave. So the sacrifice has to be made on your part. And it's only a $300,000 sacrifice for the belt. Because guess what? I got to pay for the belts. I didn't ask for this. You came looking for me. I didn't look for you. So give me, if you want me to make this major, because this is, let's be clear, this is a major sacrifice for Brian Norman to fight the best fighter in the division. This is something that gets lost in translation.
Right.
We compare boots in the same breath as Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. We want this 23-year-old kid that wasn't looking for this. He wasn't asking for this. He had his first title opportunity as the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
He upsets the apple cart, and now we want to throw him in there with the big bad wolf at who's coming into his prime, and now he makes a demand. And it's like, bro, you ducking. How? This dude knocked on my door, bro. He want to unify the belts. He want me to come to his city. Bro, you want me to come to your city. You want to unify the belts. I got to pay to leave. At least pay. Here's what I'm saying. Pay me to leave, bro. If you want me to come, like we know, these girls be doing on Instagram. Pay me to come to your city. Pay me. You want me to come over there? Pay me. Pay my expenses, bro. Don't say, hey man, hey shorty, I want you to come to my city. I'm gonna give you 20 racks. But out that 20 racks, you gotta pay for your flight, you gotta pay for your own food, you gotta pay for this. She gonna be like, bro, then you ain't give me 20 racks. No, you pay the expenses and give me 20 racks. So I want to leave with 20.
Now you pricing yourself out. Ma, you tripping right now. You pricing yourself out.
No, you 20 racks. You want me to come to your city? 20 racks. And my travel expenses. So when I go home, I got 20,000. Not 16,000 because I had to pay for a first class. I had to pay for this. I had to pay for my food. I had to pay for my rental car. What are we talking about here?
What we talking about is for you to also chase legacy and get an opportunity to become one of the youngest unified champions as well.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. His plan at 23 ain't chasing legacy yet. He's just building himself. No, we don't. That's what I'm saying. The world say they don't know who Brian. He's building himself up. He's not at the legacy chasing stage yet. It's just like when Tank was 23 and Loma wanted to fight him. Loma started professional at 26. He's chasing legacy because he don't have time.
Exactly.
Brian Norman is not chasing legacy. I'm putting my name out there. I ain't even put my name out there yet.
But Blue, this is the thing. You don't know when opportunity will come again.
And vice versa. I got more time to have opportunity than you do.
Yeah. That's part of the negotiation though, Eric, right? Like part of the negotiation is the clock is on you. My time just started. You're the one who's on your way. You're supposed to be heading to the next level.
Right.
So who has the onus on them and the pressure on them to make the situation happen? Is it me at 23 with my whole career ahead of me and all types of opportunities that will be coming for me, like T.O. You know what I mean? I'm scratching off T.O. by taking this fight because let's be real. I could lose this fight. A lot of people think you will lose this fight. So that'll scratch T.O. clean off the board for me. So those are opportunities that are coming for me in a much winnable fight, a way more winnable fight with T.O. So is the pressure on me to make this particular opportunity happen with the boogeyman of the division? Or is this opportunity really on the shoulders of the boogeyman who nobody wants to fight, who, let's be honest, probably needs to go up to 154 sooner rather than later based on, how long he's been in the division and based on, his body frame. He got a big body frame, pause, you know what I'm saying? So who's the pressure on to make the fight happen?
I understand that. But the thing is ain't nothing up there at 154 for Boots anyhow.
But is that Brian Norman's issue?
No, it's not. It's not. That's why I also
not only that, right, Eric? Now think about this. Like you said, there's nothing for him at 154.
So that's
even more of a reason why you got to make the sacrifice at 47.
But at the same time, Eddie is Eddie. Eddie is Eddie. If Eddie don't want to put up that, I feel like he made a fair competitive offer. A fair competitive offer was made on the table. There's nobody who's going to convince me that
what
offer
Eddie
was
did,
not fair.
what Eddie did was kick the tires for the sake of saying he kicked the tires.
Nah, man,
He started off with offering that man $750,000.
He did.
So he wasn't never planning to make the fight.
But I mean, at some point it got to what was, and I
Right,
don't know if
because
this
Brian
is true.
Norman
It
had
got to 1.7, right? That was the final offer, right?
Right, but again, that's because Brian Norman and them told him flat out, we want $2 million, so we could cover all our expenses and we could walk home with $1 million. So here's the thing, right? They offered Mario Barrios $2 million,
right?
So why didn't you just offer Brian Norman $2 million? Mario Barrios ain't coming to Philly.
No,
he ain't coming to Philly. That's not happening. So why they offer Mario Barrios? What is Mario Barrios done more than Brian Norman?
Nothing really.
That's what
he fought Tank.
Right. So
he fought Keith Thurman.
He did, right? So my thing is, so you offer Mario Barrios, so just give Brian Norman what you're looking for. You're not paying for their value. You are paying for Boots' value, for Boots to have an advantage. So that's why I said this is not on Brian Norman. It's on Boots and his team, because the person that needs he needs them more than they need him.
I feel you in that, and I do agree at that point. Boots does need Brian Norman at this point if his goal is to try to undisputed. But at the same time,
and that's what he said. My goal is, he said, Terrence Crawford is in the future because we looking to unify the belts here. Okay, so you got to make a move.
Right. But at the same time, with that being said, these fighters cannot go around asking for money the money that they're asking for is crazy.
Not really, because he's just asking for $1 million to read for real. That's all he's asking for.
But the thing is, if you're not worth that $1 million, then you're not going to get that $1 million.
But again, how is Boots worth $3 million?
Because
he made $125,000 his last fight.
I'm going to
then the next fight he made $3.3 million.
I'm going to tell you how Boots got that money. Boots got that money because there was a promoter who saw the potential value in Boots Ennis.
Right. So again, but that's what I'm saying. So how can we say that Brian Norman is not worth that? We can't say he's not worth that. He just announced himself. He just had his first opportunity. Everybody's opportunity is different. Manny Pacquiao wasn't that until he got his opportunity. Then once he got the opportunity, they picked the same perfect example. They picked Manny Pacquiao as an opponent for his as an opponent for his a late replacement. He ended up shocking the world, beating I can't remember his name, African dude. He beat him, and then Manny Pacquiao never looked back. But prior to that, if every fight Manny Pacquiao had after that fight, everybody like, well, before you fought him and beat him, you only made no. I'm no longer him. I graduated. Respect me for where I'm at, not for where I was.
Okay.
That's the difference.
So what year, how old was Devin when he went undisputed? Was it 23, 25?
23.
23. So same age as Brian Norman Jr.
Mm-hmm.
How many sacrifices did Devin Haney make to become undisputed?
He made a ton.
He made a ton. But ultimately, the big ones I'm talking about, not only did he sign, so he signed the Top Rank when he didn't. Well, was it a Cope deal?
Well, yeah, he signed a 3-fight deal with Top Rank.
He signed a 3-fight deal with Top Rank. Mm-hmm. Something that he really didn't want to do because he wanted to move how he wanted to move, being his own boss. Then you went over to Australia, took less money, and you did that 2 times.
Right.
If Brian Norman Jr.
No. See, that's where we get it wrong. You trying to compare the A side and the B side. Brian Norman is the B side. George Kambosos Devin Haney was the A side that played the B side role to sacrifice to be undisputed.
Right.
So in this case, you're saying that Boots supposed to play the role of Devin Haney and sacrifice to get the belts from Brian Norman.
No.
Devin Haney, yes, Devin Haney
Well,
is the
we could also apply that both ways, Boo.
no, you
Brian
can't.
Norman
Devin
Jr. is
Haney,
not getting off easy.
Devin Haney was the marquee name in that situation, not George Kambosos. It was Devin Haney.
Right.
He's the biggest star. He's getting paid way more than Kambosos. He's been on the biggest stage than Kambosos. In that situation, he sacrificed to be able to get the belts from Kambosos. He went to Australia. He agreed to take a less percentage split. He agreed to the rematch clause. He agreed to sign 3 fights to Top Rank to make sure he got the fight. In this case, that's up to Boots to say, okay, let me make the sacrifice, take possibly less money, so that's what Devin Haney did. He said, let me take less money. He could have made the argument, I'm a bigger star than Kambosos. And I've been the WBC champion, but I understand Kambosos is in this position. I'm coming to knock again. Kambosos wasn't looking for Devin Haney. Devin Haney was looking for him. So Devin Haney took the sacrifice. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and sacrifice so I can get these belts. Because once I become undisputed and get these belts, then I'm in a position of power. That's Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis is the bigger name. He's the bigger draw. He's the marquee fighter. That's where the sacrifice will have to come in the part of Boots, not in the part of Brian Norman. Again, just like George Kambosos. Kambosos was going to fight Lomachenko, just like Brian Norman was going to fight Teofimo Lopez. Devin came knocking, and so did Boots. So that's what I'm saying. We got to factor these things in. Brian Norman had other plans. You want me to uproot my plans. You want me to come out my comfort zone. You want me to sacrifice my company. You think Top Rank want Brian Norman to go to fight Boots on DAZN?
Hell no. Absolutely not.
So he's making another sacrifice. I'm pretty sure Top Rank is like, bro, what are we doing? They don't want that belt to leave them. But he's telling Top Rank, hey, bro, I'm going dare to be great. I'm going over there and fight. These things are not we're not taking these things into consideration. He's telling Top Rank. Tank didn't tell Floyd, I'm going over there to fight Loma. Tank said, okay, Floyd want me to do this? I ain't fighting Loma. Similar situation. Loma came knocking, bang, bang, bang. Let's unify the belts. Floyd said, no, this dude in a rush because his age. He don't got much more time. Floyd said, no, we got a game plan over here. Right. Same thing Top Rank and Bob Arum saying. I got a game plan over here. He already had the Teofimo Lopez fight set up, and then Teo dropped out, and then they already set up the fight for him on November 8th. Then what happened was Boots came knocking, and 23-year-old Brian Norman said, okay, hold on. You want to fight? Okay, let's negotiate then. Told Top Rank, how many 23-year-olds would got their first world title said they're going to go against the grain of their massive promotion company and go fight a dude on another promotional company? None. Ain't none of these dudes doing that. And all he's saying is, bro, make sure if you want me to make all these sacrifices, I'm going against my grain. I'm going against my machine. I'm going against my promoter. Let me ask you a question. If he lose to Boots, you think Top Rank going to keep him going? They're going to drop him.
But you know as well as I do, Luke, one loss don't mean nothing.
Yeah, to us.
To us, yeah, but to Top Rank, who didn't even plan on him being a champion, they plan on putting the efforts behind Santillan.
Not only that, Clay, they didn't plan on him being a champion, and they told you don't go over there.
Yeah, and you're gonna do you.
You could work your way back up. You can work your way.
It don't work like that in boxing.
No, it don't work like that in the U.S. boxing market. It don't work like that in the U.S.
But Brian Norman said, but again, we can't do hypotheticals because he's a U.S. boxer on the biggest U.S. promotional company in the world. So you think ESPN put money behind Brian Norman and Top Rank is putting his money behind him, and then you leaving us in your biggest fight, the first biggest fight, you gonna take the belt elsewhere? Clearly, they want to keep it in house. That's why they was gonna make the Teofimo fight. So now you're gonna take the belt and go elsewhere against our wishes and lose, and we're gonna take you back with open arms. Come on, man, make this make sense. We know that ain't happening. So he got to secure himself. Because he was put in a position to lose anyway. Top Rank put him in the Top Rank said, you go to San Diego, you fight in Santilion's backyard for the vacant title. He was the underdog. He was supposed to lose. He upset the apple cart. Guess what they did after that? Oh, we're gonna put you against Teofimo Lopez in New York. Again, in a lose-lose situation.
They would have to rob him.
Right. So now you think he gonna go across the street, take his basketball. They gonna look out for him. He gonna take his basketball, go across the street, fight Boots, lose, come back, and they gonna be like, yeah, well, don't worry about it. We're gonna keep you going. You're right. You're right. They're gonna shelf him. They're gonna cut him. He's done.
Stick a fork in him. And
guess what? Where he gonna go? PBC? Or you think Eddie Hearn gonna sign him?
PBC ain't got no money.
Right. And you think Eddie Hearn gonna sign him? Eddie Hearn ain't gonna sign him. So now where does he go? At 23. He got to build himself all the way back up at 23 with $800,000. Now Boots gonna go and fight for unification. Now he gonna make even more money. When I can say, okay, well, guess what? I can follow the plan of Top Rank, secure my future at 23, fight the fighters. It's a more winnable fight for me to fight Tio than to fight Boots. And guess what? It's a bigger marquee name. Because if I beat Teofimo Lopez, you ain't beat a marquee name like that on your resume. Now I come to the negotiation table, I'm demanding more. I got a bigger marquee fight than you. Now I come to negotiation. Now I got the power. Now what? Now it's going to be 50-50 or I'm getting the A side. Now I'm the A side. Because guess what? He beat Teofimo Lopez. Top Rank going to get involved now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now you ain't got to worry about Brian Norman Sr. and his team. Because Top Rank and Bob Arum going to say, hey, what you need, Bob? What you need, Eddie? What you trying to do? Now you coming to Top Rank, bro. We ain't defending our titles coming to DAZN. Now you coming to Top Rank. You gonna do this on ESPN. Now you pay your promoter $375,000 out of 1.7 that we giving you because you just fought a rematch against a guy that the world don't even want to see in Karen. And I just beat Teofimo Lopez. Now you come over here and you take 1.7 million. And pay your promoter Eddie Hearn $375,000. Now you think Eddie Hearn gonna turn around and be like, it's not my fault that these guys in a bad promotion, or Eddie Hearn gonna waive that $375,000 for Boots to go over there? Absolutely not.
No, I wouldn't expect him to.
Right.
I wouldn't expect him to.
And if we don't expect him to, why do we expect Brian Norman to? At 23. Brian Norman ain't growing out the division. Boots is. Boots is on your way out the division. I'm not. I just started.
He is growing out of the division.
Right.
But that's still when we get back to it, when it's all said and done, we've never talked about breaking down people's money. We've never talked about fighters having to pay their promotionals outside or whatever. You don't know when you're going to get this opportunity again, i.e., Ortiz, i.e. Stanonis. I mean, I can go down the line of all these guys who done passed up on big money and they've never got another opportunity again.
But you know why we don't talk about that? We have talked about it. We just haven't talked about it in detail. Let me tell you what we have talked about. We complained about other sides of the street talk. They just never told us the detail. We always talk about, well, why you ain't going over there? We complain when they say, well, because he's on the other side of the street. So now they're giving us the details as why there's the division between sides of the street. And now we complain that they giving us the breakdown. He's just breaking down why it's important and why it's a sacrifice to cross the side of the street when you with this promotional company and somebody else is with that promotional company. So he's just giving us an insight and a look into why it's so difficult to bring the two together. That's all he did. Because people automatically, they didn't understand why it's so difficult. When Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence was going through it, they both was quiet. Nobody said nothing. So guess what? You just picked a side and you just said, well,
Right.
Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford don't want to cross the side of the street. Well, now we know based off of what. Now get this. Now that's 25% of 1.7. So if Terrence Crawford was going to make $5 million guaranteed to fight Errol Spence, that means Top Rank was going to get 25% of $5 million. That's important for us as fans to know. So 25% of $5 million. He would have had to pay Top Rank to fight Errol Spence. These things are important for us to know these things, because we would be quick to choose a side and say, why you do this? Why you over here? Why you over? It ain't as. So what Brian Norman them telling us and showing us, this is what we're sacrificing to make this fight happen. While y'all complaining why I don't take 1.7, I have to sacrifice all of X, Y, and Z to go over there and fight him. Eddie Hearn and Jaron Ennis are aware of this.
Right.
So they're not gonna tell you, well, he got to pay this expense, that expenses just to cross the side of the street. That's important for us to know. He has to pay $375,000 to Top Rank just for permission to fight Boots Ennis. That's a major sacrifice in itself.
It is a major sacrifice, but you want to know what an even bigger sacrifice is? How much money is he getting paid to fight this dude he about to fight?
Yeah, but that don't matter because it's tax-free money, and I'm just following the plan to a bigger plan now. I didn't I wasn't looking for Boots.
That's nasty work, Blue.
No,
that's
it's not.
Nasty work.
It's not.
Nasty work.
Okay, so let me show you this. So now Boots is going to get paid $2 million to fight Karen. That's nasty work. That Eddie Hearn didn't even win the purse bid.
Yeah.
Now he got to go to Germany. Hold on. Now he got to go to Germany and fight Karen in Germany in a rematch or vacate the belts instead of paying $300,000. That's nasty work. Because
that is nasty work.
I have to pay $375,000. That's more than both our purses put together before you fought Avanesian.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have permission to leave. So guess what? I didn't have to do all that to go along with my plan as Top Rank is building me up. Because remember, we are focused on, well, how much is he going to get to fight on a Keyshawn Davis? We're forgetting, and we're being we're neglecting the fact that this wasn't supposed to be the plan. He was supposed to fight Teofimo Lopez September 27th. He wasn't going to get $200,000 to fight Teofimo Lopez. This is a late replacement. This is a late replacement situation that he's doing. It was supposed to be till September 27th in a few weeks. Then Boots presented itself. So Brian and Cian, they're saying we're going to stay active. We're not going to sit on the shelf. So they're on that card. So everybody's focusing on the lowest points of everything instead of looking at the entire picture. He was going to fight Teofimo Lopez, and he wasn't going to get no $200,000 to do it.
No, he wouldn't. He would have definitely got more for fighting Teo.
Right.
But the thing is, you're getting your opportunity now.
Right.
Teofimo wasn't giving you no belt. He was only giving you a marquee name, and a name really.
He's getting a bigger fighting Teofimo Lopez a bigger opportunity than fighting Boots.
I guess it depends on how you look. I guess it depends on how you look at it, because when Teo come to 147, he get washed.
Yeah,
Teo
but
power didn't carry 140.
It doesn't matter because it's about the name gives you leverage to negotiate in the future. So it's not about the fight itself. It's about giving yourself leverage.
I understand that.
So similar to right now, Tank is a smaller dude. Tank jump up to 47. He beat Tank at 47. That's Boots is a bigger fight? Absolutely not. Tank name carries more weight. So that beating Tank Davis, now when you go on the negotiation table, you are now a marquee name because of the exposure. Teo is going to give him more exposure than Jaron Ennis is. So therefore, you might not know who I am now, but once I beat Teofimo Lopez on a bigger stage, in New York at Madison Square Garden, you're going to know who I am now. So now I go to the negotiation table. You think you're going to be, and I'm not getting pennies again. So now when I go to the negotiation table with Boots, who you think going to have the leverage in that negotiations? Boots beating Karen or Brian Norman beating Tio? Because at the end of the day, like I said, when we compare the resumes, now I personally view Boots' future. It's his potential. But the reality is when you look at the resume, the body of work, his body of work is not much more than Brian Norman at 23, and he's 27.
No, it's not much there.
That's what I'm
Not
saying.
not
So
much there for Boots.
right. So this is just as much of an opportunity for Boots as it is for Brian Norman. But what's your thoughts, Clay?
Yeah, I mean, the perspective is clear, right? I understand both sides of the argument. I definitely understand visually how it looks. It's like I said earlier, you combine that with the Norman team's social media campaign in the past 2-3 weeks about how they wanted this fight, how they rekindled it. Like Boots had pretty much left it alone, right? And said, look, they don't want the fight. No, that's not what it is. Not that we don't want the fight. We want that fight next. It's just that this price point hasn't been hit. You know what I mean? We sent the counter offer. Nobody sent a counter offer back, right? So Eddie Hearn got the counter offer and was like, oh, okay, they don't want to do business. I'm assuming the counter offer was somewhere around 2.8 million, right? To the 750K. To somebody who if I offer you $5,000 for your car and you say, nah, man, the car's for sale for 20,000. I'm gonna take that as you don't want me to buy the car. You feel me? Like we might not. I might not call you back with a counter offer because you went up too far. But then Brian Norman Sr. comes out with the response, "Yo, you bugging, man? Of course you want that fight. You just ain't never respond to our counter offer." So Eddie Hearn's like, "Oh, all right, you got okay. Well, here's a counter offer. Bang, 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 bang. Right? When it comes down to it, the 1.75 seems close enough to the 2 million." For people outside of the business looking at it like, well, that 1.75 is right there by 2 million. If you really want the fight, like you say you want the fight, this price should suffice. But I think what's not being taken into consideration is I think at some point during this whole negotiation process, it started to look like the Normans wanted the fight as much as Boots wanted the fight, but they didn't, right? They didn't want the fight as much. They were more like, yo, the circumstances and the model you have in front of us to give you this fight is not a model we're comfortable with. We don't want to go into the lion's den. We don't want to come over on that side. This is not what we look at as an opportunity. He's 23 years old, and that's not how the opportunity looks right to us. We don't have to take this right now. So if you don't want to meet our requirements, we don't got to take that fight. And now at that point, it starts to look like the Normans are ducking. But I think it's fair to say that Boots is the one. His team, if we go back to the root of the situation, his team is the one that initiated the interest in the fight. Keeping in mind, if you're on the Norman side of the conversation and you're trying to figure out what's a fair rate, we know that you've had a failed attempt with Mario Barrios. We know that you've had a failed attempt with Stanonis. We know that we're your last opportunity to become a unified champion in this division. We also know that you're on your way out of the division heading to 154. The whole entire boxing space is putting pressure on you to make this move. So taking that into consideration, the negotiations take a different face. It takes a different look where it's like, look, no, meet me where I want to be met at, or go ahead and try your luck somewhere else. Because when you look at it with hindsight right now, what is Boots doing? He passed up on the Karen fight, and it looks like he's going to make a move to 154. His team is on that. So this was on Boots to make something happen that nobody else in the division was trying to help him make happen. This was his opportunity to make something happen that he had no other option on. You said yourself, 154 is going to be the same exact movie for him. So isn't it fair or reasonable to say Boots didn't want the fight as bad as maybe he thought he wanted it? Because when it came down to it, if Boots stood to make anywhere between 3.5 to 5 million on this fight, probably, right? I'm just assuming that base that he made 3.3 to fight David Avanesian. We have to assume he's going to make north of 3.5 for this fight. Why couldn't he take the blow and be like, listen, Here's 500 G's. Here's 300 G's. I'm gonna meet you halfway. I'm not gonna give you the 2.2. I'm gonna give you the 2. Let's make it happen with 300. Why didn't he do it? Well, the same way the Normans felt like they didn't want to budge on their number. Clearly, Boots and his team had the same thought, had the same mindset that they didn't want to budge on their number. So both of them is showing that they don't really want the fight as bad as the fans think they want the fight. So I think it's evenly across the field. It's even for the blame, but the person who suffers the most for not taking this fight isn't Brian Norman, in my opinion. It looks like it's going to be Boots Ennis who's going to suffer worse for not taking the fight because, like you said, what are the options going to be? Now, I'm optimistic about what it's going to look like for him at 154 with Turki Al-Sheikh funding these fights. I think Turki can make these fights profitable enough and pretty enough at 154. Now, I hear people talking about why didn't Turki get involved in this part of the conversation at 147 to help him make this fight? Because this ain't Turki's fight. Turki's interested in making fights on Riyadh cards. Turki isn't here financing fights randomly through the space. I think people sometimes get the Turki situation misconstrued, right? They think he's just throwing money everywhere. No, he's actually quite calculated with the way he spends his money. He's not really throwing it around as recklessly as it looks like he's throwing it around. So at the end of the day, Boots' team, including Eddie Hearn, who's part of the team, in my opinion, took a lot of this into consideration before they went into this whole I'm talking about the agreement of Boots signing to Matchroom. I believe this was all taken into consideration. And you had to think like, look, if we hit this wall where none of these guys want to make this fight for a fair rate, Turki's willing to foot the bill and give you your best paydays as well as give you great fights and great legacy at 154. We're going to shake the tree one more time and see what comes out of it, but we're going to 154 ultimately. I believe this was predetermined. You know what I'm saying? Premeditated for it to end up like this, which is why I think they let the Karen fight go in the direction that it went.
I don't see it, man, because right now, when Sebastian got the BC and the BO or the BA?
He's got the WBO and the WBC.
Okay. So Crawford got the BA and that Russian fighter got the IBF, right?
Right.
So Fundora is a PBC fighter.
Right.
Crawford, promotional free agent, but Crawford ain't really checking for Boots, not at this time anyway. Crawford got aspirations for Canelo.
Right.
Who's the promoter for that for the Russian fighter?
I guess
I can't
these
even
guys
think of his name.
Bagram Mataliev?
Yeah. Who's his promoter?
He's not PBC?
No.
I think he's PBC. Is he PBC?
No. Tim Zoo's PBC. He's with oh man, what's
like Queensberry or something?
No, he's not Queensberry. I'm familiar with Queensberry. He's not Queensberry.
It's not a big company.
Okay.
So that'd probably be his best bet, but he got a fight lined up with Tim Tszyu, right?
Yeah, he can't. He can't. That's why I said. This is what I was saying. That's why I said Boots' team dropped the ball. Because if this was the plan, like Clay said, he believes that this could be part of the plan from the beginning. Then they should have made themselves the IBF mandatory for Bagram Mataliev from the very beginning. Before Tim Tszyu was even a figment of their imagination. Because now you are in a position where you like great brother Mr. Boss said, but who else is going to give Brian Norman the type of payday? Well, you got to factor in. You talking about Brian Norman where Boots is by the time that's 4 years from now. You know everything he can accomplish in 4 years by the time he's 27 to be where Boots is right now? The question is, who's going to present Boots with the proper opportunity as he's 27 years of age? That's where that's where, because he goes to 54, he ain't getting no opportunity next year. So
I don't think he gets no opportunity at all, Blue.
Well, he'll eventually get it at 50. He'll get it at 54, but again, he's going to be in. That's why I said this was so important for him to make the sacrifice right now, because he'll get it at 54, right? But what's going to happen is he's going to be in the same position as he in welterweight. All those dudes are going to be gone. Jamel Charlo, is he going to fight him? Probably not. If Terrence Crawford gets the opportunity to fight Sebastian Fundora and then fight Tim Tszyu, Bagram Mataliev winner, he's undisputed. He's leaving. So he would have to pick up one. And Errol Spence, he got to hope that Errol Spence can get the fight. that he could get the Errol Spence fight, right? But now he got to hope that there's some politics played where Errol Spence could get the winner of Bakram Mataliev versus Tim Tszyu winner for that IBF title. Because Errol Spence wants to make himself, he trying to unify the belts. He ain't fighting Boots for nothing.
No, Errol Spence can't get no title fight coming off a loss. He just
he's about to right now.
But he's on the verge of it. If they don't
is that confirmed?
Yeah, no. If Terrence Crawford and Fundora don't come to an agreement for December, Fundora's gonna vacate the WBO. Terrence Crawford will be elevated. Errol Spence will fight Fundora again. Boots ain't getting no opportunity. That's the worst case scenario for Boots. You know why? Because now it's gonna be dragged out.
Yeah, it's gonna be dragged out because the PBC ain't. They're not gonna.
Right, because now it's absolutely gonna be dragged out. Because guess what? Now, if Errol Spence, Fundora, whoever win that fight, they're gonna be looking to fight Crawford.
Yeah.
Or the winner of Tim Tszyu, Bakram Mataliev. They ain't thinking about Boots Ennis. Because again,
Boots had to leverage his championship in that division if he was going to move on. I think it was an ill-calculated misstep, but just the way they rolled out Blue into this 154 conversation, the way Eddie was like, we're gonna, the way they just did it, it just seems like it was already premeditated, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Definitely from Eddie Hearn's point of view, 100% from Eddie.
But Clay, it goes back to what you said from the beginning. Remember what you said? Now I don't know if we was talking on the phone or this was on the show. When you said Eddie Hearn is at a place of he's just trying to get ROI.
Yeah.
Because remember, when Boots and Turkey talking about fighting Terrence Crawford, Eddie Hearn like, no. We're gonna unify these belts at 147.
Right.
So there goes the Terrence Crawford fight for you.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? These are moments where Boots got to step in. Right, and be like, bro, what are we doing? Because now, okay, cool. Terrence Crawford go that way. Now, ask yourself this question: he moves to 154. Do you think that Oscar De La Hoya gonna put Virgil Ortiz in the ring with Boots?
Hell
no. After that performance he just had with
David Avanesian?
No.
You talking about
with Bohachek, you talking about Sir? You talking about Virgil's
Sir Bohachek?
Yeah.
Right. After that performance, you think he put him in that ring with Boots? No.
For the money, with Riyadh?
Hell no.
Not gonna happen.
Oscar ain't.
No, because Virgil is on the verge of fighting Spence and Fundora and these dudes, Tim Tszyu
and Terrence.
Why would I risk it fighting Boots for what?
Yeah,
I'm going to
Turkey. He can't walk into it. You're right. He can't walk into 154 and get a fight with these dudes. He's not. He has to come in there with some jewelry to be in the conversation. It has to be some jewelry in there.
Right.
Oscar ain't putting Zepeda or Victor in no goddamn anything. They're gonna be wrapped in bubble wrap for the foreseeable future.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So now where does Boots go?
That I told you. I 100% conceded that if Boots going to 154 is not a good idea.
And that's why I said he let Brian Norman go out the back door for $300,000.
Yeah, because I'm not saying it's the greatest idea, but it looks like it looks premeditated. It doesn't look by accident.
Right.
It doesn't look like
man,
by
hold
accident.
on, man. Hold on.
Now check this out. Check out what I'm saying.
One
If
second,
he hold on. But check this out. If he stayed at 147 right now, Brian Norman goes over there. Stanonis just told you the same thing Brian Norman said.
100%.
You get that fight, you're gonna have to pay. One of them you're gonna have to pay, bro. Stanonis,
and you're gonna have to keep that belt. If you got 147, you need to keep that IBF belt. You need to take your ass to Germany and go fight Kukagachi in.
He ain't got no choice but to go over there and fight.
But now think about this. You could have paid Brian Norman $300,000 more to fight in your backyard in a unification bout,
right?
And make a statement. Now you got to go to Germany, fight for $2 million. You was gonna make $3 plus. Now you're gonna go to Germany, fight for $2 million on their terms in a non-title fight with the guy you had the worst fight of your career with. Now on his terms. Make that make sense?
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
The only thing that you would hope is that there's things that we're not getting, that we're not abreast of. There's plans that have been made. There's you know what I'm saying? Like there's accommodations that have been made that we're not aware of that involve Turkey Al-Sheikh and the PBC. That Turkey Al-Sheikh and the PBC have come to some sort of agreement or accommodations of how they plan on doing this that involves Boots to motivate. Because I gotta say to my guys, there's a conversation. There's something that's been done. I'm convinced of it between Boots and Eddie Hearns. There's an understanding that has made Boots and his team comfortable with the direction that Eddie Hearns is taking him into. And
Well,
you gotta acknowledge Turkey's existence. I don't know what it is yet, but why else would you let this go and not know where you're going? You have to have some idea where you're going.
I think that when Boots fought hard to get out of that deal with Showtime, I think those conversations were already being had. I think you're right. I think it's already a roadmap.
But no, he didn't get out. He didn't fight to get out of the business with Showtime. He got out with Cameron Duncan.
I'm sorry, Cameron Duncan and Chris Mendorf.
Mm-hmm.
Blue, but what I need to know is, I'm looking at you in your eyes right now, even though I can't see through them glasses. What you know, Blue?
No, I know this. I know that he being frozen out. I'll say that.
No, Blue.
He said no. Back to what I said.
He get right now, right? He tried right now, right? Eddie they like, oh, we're gonna try to fight Serha Boachuk. They said no.
Is that Ness?
Who? No, that's Nesta Ramirez. Nesta Gibbs.
Gibbs, boom, all right. Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was great talking with y'all, man.
For sure. So think about this now. Serha Boachuk said no.
He did.
Everybody said no.
When? This week? Or was it late last week?
It passed, from what I was told. So now Serha Boachuk at 154 said no.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Barrios said no. You didn't want to overpay Brian Norman. Stanonis said no. What are we doing? You ain't
fighting KC.
We could just go down the list. We already know, right? We didn't even need no inside sources. You know he ain't fighting Terrence Crawford. You know he ain't fighting Errol Spence. You know he ain't fighting Fundora. You know he ain't fighting Tim Tszyu. You know he not fighting Bakram Mataliev. You know he's not fighting Erickson Lubin. You know he's not fighting Jesus Ramos. So who's he gonna fight?
Where's Jesus at? Jesus is Top Rank, right? Or is he Golden Boy? He Golden Boy, right?
Golden Boy.
Yeah, he was Golden Boy. So what you going? Here's the only name: Israel Madrimov or Karen KC.
He fighting KC because Madrimov ain't gonna put himself in that position. Now, not after the performance against Terrence Crawford, he's not putting himself.
I think Madrimov will take it. But now check this out, though. Now think about this: if you Boots and you go into Germany to fight KC, ain't you looking around? Something wrong here. You should at least outbid this man. So what happened to my date on November 9th? They secured the venue and the date.
Right. I think that's what Curry might have said no to. Maybe that last minute going to. I think the Philadelphia thing is going to be difficult for Boots to make happen at 154. But I think I could see 154. I could see common grounds as far as Riyadh season, as far as Turkey's kind of considered like neutral battlefield. Like that's not, you know what I mean? It seems like the PBC is okay with bringing their fighters to that neutral, and there's conversations going on with Turkey and PBC that we've been hearing about for the past month and some change. So I don't know, man.
PBC don't have a choice but to deal with Turkey because they don't have no money.
But that's what I'm saying. But
they can't pay their fighters. They ain't got no dates.
But that goes back to what I'm saying, right? So if everybody is turning him down, there's no plan, and you got this date in this venue, right? And you telling the world this is where his value is in Philly, then you also telling me he don't have no value outside of Philly. So now you come outside of Philly, like Stanonis said, now what? Now we're on the even playing field. Because your value, your stock is that you sell out in Philly. But now I'm gonna fight you in Vegas. So what's your stock in Vegas? I don't have no stock. Now you in the same boat as Brian Norman, right? When it comes to Stanonis and Barrios, because they're gonna say, well, you ain't got no stock here. Just like Brian Norman ain't have no stock. So now I'm not giving you no upper percentage. Why? Why would I do such a thing? Now it's 50-50. You lost again. You have continued to lose leverage.
Yeah.
Because Stanonis, like you heard what Stanonis just said. If I come to Philly, you gonna pay me. If not, we leave Philly.
Yep.
Stanonis didn't want to fight no way. That dude been making excuses for years now.
No,
he has been.
He been making excuses for years now.
He really hasn't. Because remember, he was supposed to fight Virgil Ortiz 2 to 3 times, and then Virgil suffered the health injuries. Then he suffered a injury. So those couple. Now he did turn down Boots before they was champions. Before the Virgil Ortiz fight.
No, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Before champion, you've been turning them down. But
so the Avanesian.
Yeah, but this is my thing. At some point, I get everything you're saying. And I still agree with my position, even though I'm glad you're explaining it. But I still agree with my position. But at the same time, no matter how we look at this, no matter how we slice it, a $1 million fighter is a $1 million fighter. Now, if you have a belt and you have something to bring the leverage, cool. All great, all beans. If you have something of leverage, yes. But at the same time, when somebody is offering you a fair market value for you, because that is fair market value, we also have to understand that Eddie Hearn, as you said before, he's all about ROI, return on investment. Right. The fight still has to financially make sense. We cannot just say it's hard because, yes, this is for Boots' legacy. Yes, you probably should have came off the 300 grand. I agree with that. That's why I preferenced that before we even had this conversation. That, right. Yeah, Eddie probably should have came off that money. But at the same time, we cannot be okay with fighters pricing themselves out of their market because nobody else is giving Brian Norman this type of money. Even if he fights T.O., he'll definitely get this type of money. But it's about your dancing partner as well. You'll get more money with the better dancing partner.
But I gotta ask this question. So now I gotta ask this question. Mm-hmm. What's the market? Because you said the market, right?
Right.
Based off it. So what's the value market for a champion?
The value market for a champion, it's everybody's different. It's not just saying, "Oh, you the
right." So that's what I'm saying.
Blah blah champion, you get this.
We can't base his value off of before he was a champion because he's not a contender. How do we value? How do we do the market based off of him being a contender when he's a champion?
Right. No, nobody's saying that he shouldn't get a price bump, and nobody's saying that he shouldn't get a price.
But that's what I'm saying. So
increase.
There's no fair. So that's that by saying that means that Eddie Hearn's deal is not a fair offer because he's a champion now. So there is no such thing as a fair offer because everybody. Once you become a champion, your market changes.
Right. Once you become a champion, your market changes. Your value goes up. Right. But at the same time,
how do we put a ceiling on it though?
You put a ceiling on about what you've done. It's still about what you've done. Yeah, you get a bump because
it's about your value. It's about your value to the fight. It's about. I always use the example with the Terrence Crawford Errol Spence situation, and people just felt like Terrence was capped out and wasn't worth this, and he was only worth that. No, he was worth what Errol thought he was worth based on Errol's need for what he had. Right? Based on the value of what he brought to the table. For Boots, Brian Norman's title, Brian Norman's WBO title is worth what to Boots? And keep in mind that Boots is somebody who's saying that the only reason he's at 147 is for legacy-driven purposes, which involve unifying and becoming the undisputed champion. This is a very significant part of the conversation as far as how we're going to determine the value of Brian Norman, because no matter how you want to paint it, when the smoke is all cleared, Brian don't got to do what Brian don't want to. Brian ain't gonna do what he don't want to do. You can't force him to do nothing. So you have to take into consideration the value that he brings to the table before you consider how much he's worth to you. Because you're walking away from a situation right now to where you're not going to get the championship. You're not going to get unified. Now, we can point the finger as much as we want at Brian Norman. We can do this all day until our finger gets tired and we can't hold it up no more. But it doesn't change Boots' situation. His situation changes if he's willing to pay to play. If he's not willing to pay to play, then he has to, like Brian Norman Sr. said a couple of days ago, he has to take into consideration that you'll never become undisputed at 147. Because nobody's going to go along to get along with the plan of coming to your backyard to get minimum amounts of money when we know we're supposed to get X amount of dollars that we can get anywhere else. Nobody's going to agree to that. So what's Boots' endgame? That's what determines the value, not the market, not what he's done in the past. What can he get it for?
Right. And
no. What you've done, definitely.
You got to factor in this too.
Eric, hindsight says no. Hindsight says what you're saying is no. Hindsight says it. Looking back at Boots turning away a Karen fight right now and not getting a championship fight says that's not the way they determine the market value of how much he's worth. That's what hindsight says. The experience we're having right now where Boots is not getting a title fight explains the way it actually works in comparison to the way we might have thought it worked before we have this experience.
Right.
Those are two different things because right now
you got to factor this in too. This is a huge chunk that gets neglected. Is how does Boots' value sit so high when he hasn't done anything either?
Because Eddie Hearn saw value in it. Whatever Eddie Hearn saw, Eddie Hearn decided that he wanted to sign him for, that was his value.
So then we can't put a cap on Brian Norman saying this is my value here. We can't. How are we saying Brian Norman is pricing himself out when Boots did $125,000 his last fight and Norman did $100,000? They was in the same tax bracket.
They were in the same tax bracket.
Right.
The difference is Eddie Hearn saw the value in Boots and he didn't see it in Brian Norman.
Right. And so Brian Norman's team sees the value in Brian Norman, so we can't fault him.
No, not at that price point. That's ridiculous.
Bro, so you telling me it's okay for Eddie Hearn to value Boots at $3.3 million from $125,000, but it's not okay for Brian Norman's team to value him at from $120,000 from $100,000 to $2 million?
No, it's perfectly fine for Brian Norman's team to value him at that.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's not what Eddie Hearn values.
But again, it's not. But again, Brian Norman. This is what we're not taking into consideration. Brian Norman is on this side of the street with his team. Boots is on this side. Boots' team values him this way. Brian Norman's team values him this way. That's it. So Boots' team wants to do business with Brian's team. They said, this is our value. This is our price. And then we saying, well, they're pricing themselves out. How? He's saying, this is my price. I value myself at $2 million. You value yourself at $3 million. If you want me to come and you want to combine the two, pay me my value. That's it. We can't say he's pricing himself out. There's no such thing. Because if we saying that Eddie Hearn came in and Eddie Hearn saw the value in Boots, okay, well, Brian Norman's team came in, Top Rank, and hence the reason why Top Rank is saying 25%, because they value him high, right? Because they wouldn't want 25%. They know he's gonna get a big number. So they could get a big number back. So Brian Norman, his team, value him at $2 million. But because Eddie Hearn don't value Brian Norman high, then we saying Brian Norman pricing himself out. Make sense.
Well, if that's the case, and if that's his value, if he feels that's his value, why doesn't he go and say, all right, Top Rank, you put up the money?
Because Top Rank is Top Rank is not the A side. He is. So you are to be in the A side, but this is our value. If you want our product, this is what it's gonna cost you.
No, the
You
value
can't
to
walk
this
out there.
fight
Listen,
is a unified championship.
Check this out. You go into the mall, right? You got Gucci store here, you got Louis Vuitton here.
Mm-hmm.
Right across, they always right across from each other, right?
Right.
Okay. If Louis Vuitton said, "Hey, let's do a combination," and Gucci say, "Okay, well, this is our value for this product. You want to bring our special specialty and mix it with yours? No problem. Mm-hmm. You the bigger brand, cool. But this is our value price. This yours. Now Louis Vuitton go back and be like, man, these dudes don't. These dudes is unrealistic. Why? Because your value is different. No, I didn't ask you to come over here. You wanted to come over here.
But see, Blue, this is the difference in that. What we're talking about is, and I don't want to use Gucci and Louis because I don't think Boots is on a Gucci type level, right? But let's just say, the Goodfellow brand from Target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's call Boots the Goodfellow brand from Target, right? Decent brand, not big, not designer, so to speak. And then Brian Norman would be mom and pop shop, right? Mom and pop shop. Somebody saw in the value in the Goodfellow. Well, Target saw the value in the Goodfellow brand, so they decided, hey, I want to bring you on, and I want to make you one of my marquee brands in my store. His value has been solidified by the zone, hence why he's getting what he's getting in a purse. Brian Norman, as you say, new guy, up and coming, probably on the same level as Boots, honestly, with resume and what's been accomplished, so to speak. I think, in my opinion, I think Boots' resume is a little bit better. I think he's got some better wins. But anyway,
it's deeper.
It's deeper. It's deeper. He's bought better C and B fighters, but anyway, so to speak. I digress. The thing is Brian Norman being that mom and pop, Brian Norman not truly having Top Rank behind him. As you said earlier, he was really putting the fight to be the fall guy, but upset them. Now this is what happens when you come to market. This is what happens. The same thing is going to happen with Shakur and Tank. The same thing is going to happen with whatever fighter you think of, right? When it's time to get into when the opportunity knocks, you have to take it. It doesn't matter what age you are, because we've seen this. So I've seen this song and dance so much, and that's why it makes me so mad, Blue. It makes me so mad, Blue, because I've seen guys turn down this money and they've never got the opportunity again. Yeah, and on Boots' side, I've seen.
But looking at it from this standpoint, now let me give you another way to look at it.
Right.
Top Rank valued Floyd Mayweather at a specific number, right?
Yes.
Which we know to be $750,000.
That is true.
Floyd Mayweather said, "I'm worth more than that." Top Rank said, "No problem. Go find it." He did. He became a billionaire. He holds the records now for the pay-per-views.
4 out of 5, right? Or was it 3 out of 5?
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. 4 out of 5.
Right. So he holds the record, but Top Rank valued him at $750,000.
Yeah, but we're talking about Floyd Mayweather. We're not talking about Brian Norman Jr.
The thing is, we can't speak in presence. We got to speak in hindsight. We got to speak in the past. At that time, he wasn't what we know today. He wasn't Money Mayweather. He didn't hold no records.
Right.
But he saw the value that he was going to be more than that. So he told Top Rank, do X, Y, and Z. And they said, no, we value at this number. And he said, no problem. I'll see you later.
Mm-hmm.
And now look what he turned himself into. So we can't say
that Floyd made the sacrifices to do so.
Right.
And he fought in the fights that we wanted.
And Brian Norman made the sacrifices to do so. He put himself in position to be on the trajectory going up. He went to the backyard of on his side of the street, right? I
Mhm.
went to the backyard of Santillion, beat him, and did what I had to do, made the sacrifices. Now I was going to go to Teofimo Lopez's backyard in New York, do what I had to do to make the sacrifices.
Right.
You came and you trying to get me off my path. I didn't ask for you to come here. You chose to come here and disrupt my path. If Boots never does that interview, we're not talking about this.
Yeah.
If Boots never knocks on his door, we're not talking about this. Nobody's talking about Boots and Brian Norman unifying. Nobody. We was talking about Brian Norman and Teofimo Lopez, or Brian Norman, and we wasn't talking about him in Boots. Because Boots was talking about fighting Mario Barrios.
Mm-hmm.
So now your plans didn't work out. Now you want to disrupt my plans. No problem. Now, this is my price for my sacrifice. We cannot say this man is pricing himself out because he wants to put a number on his value. We can't do it. And neither can Eddie Hearn the Boots. They can't do it. Because guess what? If he, like Clay said, if it truly was that important, then Boots would have said, hey, bro, you know what? Take the $300,000 out my purse. He ain't sacrificing no money.
So do we truly know that was the case as far as Boots not taking money out of his purse? Do we know that for sure?
Clearly he didn't, because if he did, we would have had to fight.
Yeah. Or the conversation would have been we offered you $2 million and you didn't take the fight. It would have came out like, right. Yo, we gave him the $2 million. He still ain't taking the fight.
Right.
No, no. I'm not asking to be combative. I'm asking for clarification.
No, that's one. But
yeah, right, yeah.
But it's just clear, because if he did, he would have met his requirements and we would have a fight.
Right.
Nah.
I mean, we would know if Boots said, "Hey, here go to 300,000," then Brian Norman said, "Well, I need 2.5." We would have knew that.
I have to believe that we would have known that. I don't think that as much as this as transparent as this whole process has been, I find it hard to believe
Eddie Hearn wouldn't have told us that Boots sacrificed to take the money out of his purse and to pay Brian Norman. He would love nothing better than to throw them under the bus.
Yeah.
So
you'd have
but yeah, let's get out of here, man. I gotta get my kids ready for school tomorrow. First day.
My headphones about to die, man. I appreciate your
hey man,
fellowship with me,
Eric, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It was a good time, man, for sure, man.
Definitely great conversation, man.
Absolutely. When you going back live, man?
This is what I'm talking about, man. This is the type of conversations, instead of just being, you know what I'm saying? You already know, man. But you know what I'm saying? Brothers come up here and they just want to be.
They want to be indifferent. They want to just be indifferent. They don't want to build.
No. I'm always here to talk boxing, man, because believe it or not, I love the sport of boxing more than I love any individual fight. Any other sport. I mean, I've given up on football and basketball, period. But I love the sport of boxing more than I love any individual boxer.
Right.
To me, it's the greatest sport ever.
Right.
So for me, I mean, outside of last year, because we did have a hell of a year last year, I just don't want the sport to become stagnant. And every goddamn thing we see right now is behind a paywall. And me, like a fool, I'm going to buy it, like this Canelo card, a fool. I'm going to buy it, even though I told myself I wasn't. To me, when it comes to fights that are non-pay-per-view, I think I'm really an advocate for making them, because I feel like that's what's going to bring the sport back. Getting those, not like, I know y'all remember like those Tuesday night fights and those Thursday night fights, man.
What?
Come on, man.
What? Hey,
come on, man.
E, check this out. People don't even realize, and I tell people this, and it takes them back. Tommy Hearns versus Sugar Ray Leonard was on a Tuesday, and Duran and Hearns was on a Wednesday. How wild is that?
Well, see, you're a little bit more seasoned than I am, great brother. I have to catch those back on YouTube. You know,
yeah.
I'm only 35, so
no, but just go figure.
Yeah,
that was on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. Tommy Hearns versus Sugar Ray Leonard was on the Tuesday.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
And Muhammad Kareem, I'm definitely picking mine up.
Yeah, but that's why I'm a big advocate for these non-pay-per-view fights, man, because I believe that if we can stop putting stuff behind a paywall and start getting good fights like a Brian Norman Jr. and a Boots like non-pay-per-view?
Yeah, and check this out. Do you know
Hell yeah.
worldwide, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but worldwide, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali did 1 billion views,
Damn.
if I'm not mistaken. 1 billion
I,
views.
I could believe it.
Yeah.
I could
What
believe it, man,
happened?
because
Yeah.
What happened?
Check Google that if I'm not mistaken. I know Muhammad Ali, one of his fights, I'm almost certain. It might have been Frazier, but I believe it was George Foreman. It was a billion views. A billion people watched that fight, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, let's get out of here, man. Let me go and put these kids out. So
all right,
All
man,
right.
appreciate y'all.
appreciate y'all,
Yo,
man.
salute,
Appreciate you.
salute,
Absolutely.
Eric. Yo, thank you, Blue Blood. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out, you know what I'm saying, everybody in the building. You know how we carry it. See you guys tomorrow for sure.
Yes, sir. Looking to have a special guest on with us tomorrow, man. And then after the special guest, we'll send out the link. You know, so yeah. Much love to each and every one of y'all. Appreciate y'all. Go subscribe to my brother Claymore Rain channel.
For sure.
I didn't even put the link to my other channel in there, did I? Nope. Man. Yeah. Well, I'll do it tomorrow. Appreciate y'all come through, starting up, holding us down, man, showing us love. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow us on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Yep. Clay, you going on tonight?
I believe so.
Or what time?
Probably about like 9:30.
Okay. So tune in, Claymore Rain. I'll be tuned in. I'll be tapped in 9:30. After the kids go to bed, I'll probably hop on with y'all, man. No Diddy.
No doubt. Pause.
Yes, sir. So salute,
Yeah.
man. Follow us on Instagram, Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. We out, man. Appreciate y'all.
Hey.